Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. It is I, Badger, here for some late night League of Lads action. That is on the wrong ticket, by the way, but that's a different issue. I am Badger. I'm here tonight for some League of Lads action between earning the wins, who are 3-1 on the Dire, taking on Antimeta, who are 1-5 on the Radiance. But there is one very special occasion for the cast tonight. They'll be joining me quite soon, which excites me immensely. Gets me giddy in my seat. He'll be with us soon. He's simply doing some real-life stuff because he just finished casting some BTS Pro Series 8 Americas for the last like 6 hours, so it's understandable why he wouldn't be here immediately. What we do have in our hands, though, is a nice little good old Dota 2 draft. We have Hoodwink, which is always a nice little fun here to see. We have a nice little flex pick Tiny here, could be an offlane here, could be a mid laner, could be a support, you never know. Even could be a carry because it's Tiny. Had to turn on my fan, it's quite hot in this room right now, but I'm sure it'll be fine. What we do have, though, is likely our carry hero for Sasquatch, that gyrocopter pick, which should be quite fun, actually. I'm actually real interested to see exactly what Dire do with this draft here. They have a lot of versatile stuff. Like a sort of normal team would probably go Gyro 1, Tiny 4, Silencer 5. But I know Six Dog is a very big Silencer player, so it could be a Silencer 3. Lane of Silencer yet to be determined in that particular sense. I'm interested to see what Radiants do, because they seem to have a lineup where it's just do damage, and they don't really seem to accomplish much more of anything than that. But what they do is a lot of damage. I mean a lot of damage. I'm curious to see whether or not they can really do damage before, say, the Silencer really gets online, Gyro, say, if BKB has some stat items. Say, if Tiny's a core, whether or not he gets a BKB early. These could be huge timing points in this game, but this Radiant draft seems weird, while this Dire draft seems good. Which is about what you'd expect from a team that has the brain trust of Sasquatch and Hamingzy, as well as, obviously, I guess there's no, who's not here tonight? See, I think the most lamentable tragedy is... It's gotta be M-John, right? Which means it's M-John, Six Dog, and then Turp Castle standing in for Dark. Versus a team that's literally called Antimeta. As in, they literally purposely avoid picking meta picks, so... certainly a bit of a conflict in styles there. Not what you would necessarily want to hope for. But perhaps this Radiant draft can pull through, can outdo expectations, do something wild and crazy in that sense. We do have in our hands, though, is an actual meta pick from the side of the Dire. It is that Night Stalker, one of the premier heroes of the patch. A hero who traditionally is played in the 3 role, but can be flexed to support, can be flexed to an alternative side lane carry. There's a lot of options there for Night Stalker. I've even seen him played mid once or twice. Obviously, it's not good, but it's still doable. So Dire have a very versatile draft that does a lot of things. Already have a very one-dimensional draft that does very few things. So this may be a very significant outdraft that we have in our hands. Yeah, as far as I know, ET is still icing his wrists, so he'll be with us quite soon, which is really exciting. Get to pick his brain a little bit. Off to give him the good old hype up as I do all my co-casters. As I do with all of the co-casters. It's like Dire, as they should expect Radiant to grab a carry, likely a hyper carry, as they're banning out a hero like Dusa. Radiant, meanwhile, expect that the cores in the mid lane are not picked yet. They're thinking it's likely a Gyro 1 and either Night Stalker support or Silencer support. They're all farming the 3, and then Tiny Ford. I think it makes sense. I think it might end up being Silencer farming 3 with Night Stalker supports, which would be put as a Gyro carry, Silencer 3, Tiny 4, Night Stalker 5. I think Turp Castle was a fan of playing the Tiny 4. So I suppose it is smart to ban out mid laners. There's a hero like Queen of Pain, who I know Hamningsy is a relative big fan of. He likes playing that Queen of Pain in the middle lane. Not that I've ever seen him play Invoker, but I'm sure he can play Quaswex perfectly fine. And Antimeta will grab the Clinks. The hero they actually beat in their one win this season, they beat Slendy's Clinks a couple days ago. And saying, you know what, maybe we want the Clinks this time. Pull out that Burning Barrage. Good old Dota 2 in that sense. Dire, meanwhile, have about a minute of reserve time left to make their ultimate pick of the draft. Not quite sure what they'll go for. Hopefully it's something cool and not like Dragon Knights or Beastmaster. I want something wild and exciting this game. I love picks that are wild and exciting and not boring. Apparently Discord is not happy with me. I called ET and he did not pick up in 5 minutes. So Discord yelled at me for wasting their bandwidth. My bad, Discord. Well, we do have actually a pretty interesting pick. This is a... Okay, so if the roles are what I think they are, this is a carry Tiny, a middle Night Stalker, an offlane farming Gyro, a support Bounty 4, and support Silencer 5, which really throws me off. This is not what I expected in the slightest. Literally at all. Since we have two very interesting drafts in that sense, we're not quite sure, not quite sure exactly what they're going to do with this. If they keep the rolls as expected, or if they roll swap further. Because if they go with the rolls, I think Dire will do. And this is a very, very interesting draft. I am really excited. I'm actually really excited to watch some Dota after some of the BTS Pro Series games we watched today. There was a BO3 between D2 Hustlers and No Ping earlier today. It was an all-time certified Hood Classic. It was a fantastic BO3. The one afterwards, the Team vs. Infamous 2 game series, not so exciting, but what can you do, I suppose, to steal a phrase from our man Jube. Man, oh. And we are now being joined by the two-time Lads Champion, BTS Pro Series caster, and one of the smartest men I've ever met, ET. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, Badger. How are we?
I'm in a great mood. I'm casting with you.
Hell yeah. Let's get some good games here. I'm excited to watch my boys play as well. Like you said, 2 times Lad champion here. So are 3 of the other players in this lobby. So it's going to be exciting to see how they operate when I'm not on board here. But that's where Turp Castle is definitely going to be filling in my shoes in some pretty good capacity. I think he's definitely going to gel nicely with them. But more importantly, some different positions. I haven't gotten to see them play, but this is now Squatch on the Tiny, and Tiny is a scary safe laner, so I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to pull off here.
Well, it's the 5-man running at right, so that man is extraordinarily dead. First blood will be drawn. We'll go to... Let's find out. We'll go to Sasquatch on that Tiny. That was fast. Cool Breath is there hitting onto the 2, but, well, Radiant must run away from their own tri-camp. They may simply lose all 4 runes here, potentially. This is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Johnny. You kind of have to get the Arcane Curse level 1, another hero that usually don't get to see a lot of people play, but it'll be interesting to see when he decides to get a point up in those Glaives of Wisdom, because he wants to be smart. He's going to be stilling a lot of that in, especially Orion, but they're not done.
And they're
Just
still
hoodwink on the
fighting.
low ground.
Currently,
Oh
Six
no.
Dog and M-John running into the river looking for typical TN. And well, with 3 heroes hitting him, he will indeed go down. Will now be 2 kills for the side of etW. And well, it's a fantastic start. If you're curious, role-wise, this team has been very interesting. They normally have Dark, so it's normally Sasquatch 1, Hammingsy mid, Six Dog 3, Dark 4, M-John 5. And it's been interesting.
Been a
Apparently,
roller coaster.
they're mixing it up even more tonight, putting this some real odd picks in display right now.
Yeah, and I think it will be interesting to see how Six Dog decides to run this gyrocopter, whether or not he's going to go for the more aggressive skill up. He has a Veil of Discord already queued up, so I can only imagine he's going to look for some points up in that rocket barrage. But seeing how he deals with his farm priority will be interesting, because you are right. We see the gyrocopter in 1 position in Dota, maybe 5 position sometimes, but we always see him much better in that carry. But top
And we see a
took
kill
him out.
top lane. It was M-John man fighting with Rice Cooker, and with the tree toss throw from Sasquatch, it was simply too much damage.
Yeah, and that's where this Zeus is really going to feel pressured up here. Sasquatch especially already ready, going for the tree grab build. Of course, you always get tree grab level 1 more or less, but once you get that second point in it, it's so efficient, and you do exactly what he did right there. It doesn't really matter when it comes down to trading, but as long as you can secure the range creeps for yourself, you're going to be extremely happy with your lane setup. You can only imagine he's going to go for the Echo Saber first, and that's going to be even more problematic for them. But, okay, this is a little bit intriguing.
And the
They're
man
taking a
fight
lot of
continues
damage.
top lane. Rice Cooker taking a lot of damage. Now it's Jakiro, who may take the damage from 2 different heroes, but still has full HP right now. We're seeing bot lane, a bit of a dive there on typical TN. He's fine. Look to top lane once again. It is Jakiro hitting 2, but needs to be a little bit careful with all this damage going on here.
Yeah, and there's not really that much in terms of the Zeus giving him more regen. It's really going to be the Jakiro being as self-sufficient as possible. And fortunately for him, he does have the creep wave pushing in. That's something that offlane Jakiros do need to be very concerned with. You nuke the wave a little bit too much, and then suddenly a lot of your easy XP is also very easy for them to deny. But that's where Johnny, right on point, getting that large camp pull off super clean from him.
Bottom lane, though, it may be a kill on Six Dog. Bushwhack is there at the tower, but the Burning Barrage misses. Now they turn to Karan there on that carry clinks. He's going to take a good bit of damage. The rocket comes in, but he remains alive. Still has some HP. Turkitos, though, is up for Turp Castle. He will use it, and down goes Karan there on that clinks. We do see a Bushwhack as a counter response, but that will not avenge your clinks.
Yeah, and you see, Turb, he knows he has the Fairy Fire. He knows he's not going to go down here to the Hoodwink, just trying to be as obnoxious as possible. But
meanwhile, top lane, M-John in severe danger, goes down to the dual breath damage of League of Inbreds, and now it's kills everywhere.
Yeah, it's just a brawl, and that's what these lanes are really good at. You got an offlane Gyrocopter, you've got an offlane Jakiro. The magic damage is in spades here. Unfortunately, you did kill the Silencer, and of course that is going to be some XP for this top lane, but it also means he gets to come back with full HP and mana. The biggest benefit is that I think M-John actually canceled his own TP here, so he's going to be doing the long walk, but picks up some salves. Sasquatch is still going to be able to lane relatively well here, even though the Silencer is going to be out for quite a bit, but once Johnny's back up there, it's just going to be business as usual.
Yeah, tried TPing away to survive, but the damage was slightly too high. If I think he had like
That's
30 more
gonna
HP,
get
he would
walked.
have survived.
Ooh, nice toss.
Lack of damage, though. Needs about 10 more mana on the Zeus to get the kill there on Sasquatch. Does not have it, so there is no kill there on that carry Tiny.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Rice Cooker is gone for this skill up. I understand he wants a slightly more efficient build, and unfortunately for Sass, he does get his first salve actually canceled out there just with the nice vision right behind the tower, but it also just means that you don't really have any more mana, and I hope that Rice Cooker decides to send up some more resources, because this Boots Rush is really greedy, and
it is Avalanche,
almost
but he's not in
want
range
him
of
to die.
toss. Tree Toss is there, but it's slightly short damage. Arcane Curse is used, and it should be a death there on that Zeus. It is a death. Meanwhile, in the bot lane is Rocket Barrage there on typical TN. Hoodwink goes down. Across the map, 2 more kills for etW. It's 6 kills in 4 minutes.
Yeah,
and now it's
they're just
League
so
going in
efficient.
again, looking for the Tiny. Dual Breath is there. The clicks are enough. Down goes Tiny. He now turns to M-John with that Liquid Fire. Needs Dual Breath. Yes, he will use it. M-John will go down. Jakiro now up to 3 kills.
Yeah. Unfortunately, wasn't able to drop anything for the Zeus, and Zeus actually sapping half of that XP there, but yeah, League is actually doing a really fine job here. Hope he decides to buy another null, probably some more resources, because again, if they can keep pumping mana into this top lane, it is going to be very difficult for the Tiny to approach, and we might see Sasquatch make an early rotation towards the jungle.
Snark kill bottom lane as well on that.
They keep getting him.
They went under the tower and it wasn't
him.
enough.
Yeah, it's something that we really don't see anymore for a very good reason. It is really side dependent whether or not this Hoodwink is able to successfully lane typically, and unfortunately the Radiant safe lane is not something you really want to play in if you're on Radiant. It just means that you have not that much space to work with, as well as yet again, Rocket being one of the most efficient tools in the entire game when it comes to taking down heroes early. So they need to be a little bit more careful. Karan is having a very nice lane, though, especially getting that Falcon Blade finished up already. He is more or less uncontested, sitting at second in the CS as well.
I'm really excited for this first night, though. It is time for Nightstalker to potentially make some moves. We're seeing top lane, though. Jakiro and Zeus are on the run. Sasquatch wants to go in, but he's a little bit too slow to get on top of that Zeus.
Yeah, it's always going to be a little bit more difficult, and I'm surprised that Mjon didn't place his ward in the lane, instead wanting to give a little bit more vision towards the stacks that they could be going for, but unfortunately for him, they aren't actually playing to that strength of their lineup, where they should be stacking for their Clinks most likely, but it'll be okay, but taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah,
problem is
teams are going heavy up the man fight right now, but now it's the Ascension coming in. Hamzy has arrived. He goes to the top of Jakiro. Jakiro will go down. They now move to Zeus as well, and he will also go down. 2 kills there, both going. This out of the Dire. Sasquatch barely survives.
What a salve from John. Actually, it's so sick, and
now
that's the rotation you want.
It's a kill down on 6 dog.
Oh.
Turpcastle will attempt to avenge him, but the Bushwhack is there onto that bounty hunter, and now Turpcastle is on the run instead. So despite the rough fight top lane, Radiant actually win a fight in the bottom lane.
Yeah, unfortunately for Karan, second time in a row
Sasquatch
there.
goes down there, dual breath, look at fire, it's too much damage. He still had no regen. He overstayed, got greedy, and he died for it.
Yeah,
He's all chatting Sasquatch.
Chat.
Does he not know who Sasquatch is?
That's some danger. You don't want to all chat versus my team. I'll tell you right now, that is a risky decision. As well as Mike can always just come back top. So we'll see if they make an enemy of me at the end of this game as well. But I can imagine my boys are not going to play around, especially if you're just going to keep talking. Oh.
We're seeing kill. Top lane is Love Megafire was used on the Silencer. Silencer went down. Meanwhile, bot lane, it's Turpcastle and TikTok going in onto Karan's things. Karan goes down. So it's 2 heroes going down. But I'm sure Dire happy getting a carry and losing their 5.
Yeah, and I think the big reason this Jakiro is working out is because we haven't seen Mike make too many rotations, but that's also where...
as well.
Oh.
Turpcastle Hamzy far too strong. Typical TN, out of position, gets punished heavily.
Yeah, and this is a monstrous game for the Night Stalker. Beast 2.0 is thinking about going for this arena play, but unfortunately he snabbed it, didn't really bottle up, just got the first off, and he could be making plays across the map, but instead I think he's spending a little bit too much time in his lane, where there is definitely some pretty easy gank opportunities, especially in the bottom lane. I think that could really snowball them in the right direction, but that's also where you see Karan has rotated top. They're looking for some more kills, possibly into that early tier 1, but that's where Mike has also made the rotation. This is a big scary
3v3 now. Karan is in severe danger. Avalanche is there on Jakiro. Now in comes Hamzy. He has ascended. Sasquatch runs. Burning Rocks is there, but it misses. Now Hamzy will kill Jakiro. They will now turn over to the Zeus, it appears. Arcane Curse, I believe, actually missed. Certainly will not matter. Down goes that Zeus. 2 more kills. They even brought in Turpcastle, so perhaps they will go for more than simply 2 kills.
Yeah, and that's where it really does feel like the Mars needs to get in a little bit more of these fights. It feels like with his lead, he's not able to actually do anything with this arena, and you take a look at the pressure.
Dead again.
Yeah.
He's being gone on his own tri-camp. 3 heroes are there.
Arena
is there. Now it's Mjon who's isolated. Rebuke, Spear are there. Mjon will go down, but Dire once again will look to engage perhaps with the rotation of Sasquatch by the Secret Shop. Karan, they still see him, and now he's alone again. Hamzy has silence there onto Jakiro's trying to help the dust is there on the Karan. Karan will go down, but can Radiant avenge them? Dual Breath comes in. Hamzy is hit by Necropyre. He will go down. Now they move to Turpcastle on the Bounty Hunter. He tracks for the move speed and begins to run, but has no invis. But he appears to be a bit too fast. Will Shuriken, but now gets hit by the Dual Breath and Liquidfire into the Lightning Bolt. Down goes Turpcastle. That is a lot of kills in both directions. But Radiant, probably happy with that one.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Quran does need to just call out, yeah, gonna get the easy D word here. Although it has more or less served its purpose. I think the big mistake there is Terp turning around, trying to go for that Shuriken toss, trying to, again, still be pretty annoying with that Bounty Hunter, but losing Mike is the bigger problem. Again, first death, not the biggest issue in the world, but problematically, you don't have the Dark Ascension available to you, so the pace that the Night Stalker can actually play is definitely going to slow down quite a bit. But I think finally, time to get some tier 1 towers off the board. We might see some heavy rotations to these safe lanes. Just try to end the laning stage a little bit faster.
And both teams have their mid-10 siege unit. Obviously, Jakiro, a decent pusher, and then bottom lane is etW, who have 3 different heroes in the vicinity. Though they may simply be running at Karan. Six Dog tried it earlier, but ultimately Karan is playing even more defensively, going straight into his tri-camp rather than playing shallowly in his jungle.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Karan, I think he's a little bit out of his field right now because you go for this Falcon Blade, and I respect that item wholeheartedly, but the bigger problem is you're really delaying your Maelstrom for a very long time, and without it, you're not really efficient at farming Ancients. Maelstrom is the item that lets you break into that much larger capacity, and I think with how important his items are going to be in this game, it's going to be a little bit missed, but mid,
The arena is there
big
on
fight.
Six Dog. Glowsound still is pop. Six Dog drops the call down, should go down. Does a lot of damage in return though, but Dire simply are not there. The Arcane Curse does enough damage to kill typical TN, so it ends up being a 1-for-1. But Radiant commit 5 and end up being a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and really, Silencer is so broken. He has so much damage. That's just a level 4 Arcane Curse on 4 heroes. That's another huge Arcane Curse.
Is Mars just dead?
No, there's no way. It's a lot of damage, but just barely, not enough. But still, doesn't fix their problem. And really, because they get kited away from that top area, sure, you're able to claim that top tier 1 tower, but you're going even when you have Jakiro, and now Mike is looking for the
has
fight.
ascended, but Mars is hasted. Meanwhile, at the Tri-Camp, it's Clinks who's being run out by Turp Castle. Radiant defend him. Hamuzi finds Jakiro. He silences. Turp Castle goes down. Back to Jakiro. Mjon has the Arcane Curse. Hits it. They're hitting. Hamuzi now runs. Necropire. It hits. Does some damage. Lightning Bolt is there. Down goes Hamuzi.
Oh, no.
Now Spear is there on the Silencer. Silencer gets hit by Sharpshooter. No. He's simply dead to the God's Rebuke. Dire.
Yeah.
Lose 3. Find nothing. In the all chat, it once again cascades down.
Yeah, it really feels like they took that fight without Six Dog. I think if they have the Gyrocopter in the vicinity, they can look for that engagement, but instead, they push in without Global. They pop Dark Ascension to try and contest Beast 2.0 for that haste rune, but he gets it, simply walks back, they kite around their vision, and they get punished, but okay. Mars is getting run out a little bit, but they can't make that play.
See, they do a little bit of damage to Six Dog actually with the Look of Fire and the Dual Breath. Six Dog's taking a lot of damage. Actually, the Witchblade kills him. Down goes Six Dog. Interesting. Now, Sasquatch has arrived. The Blink Arena is there on the 2. They look for Mjon. Mjon on the silencer will eventually go down, right? Yeah, he will go down now. Sharpshooter comes in and will miss, though. Now Radiant are tracked on 5, actually, but Hamuzi is low on HP, and Dire appear to lack the tools to engage further. Look of Fire is once again there in Hamuzi, but the Bushwhack will miss. He will run away past his Tier 1 tower. Dire only lose the 2, but this is a essentially lost Tier 1 tower mid lane.
Yeah, and the Jakiro is playing...
Oh, yeah. Goes down.
There you go. There's the blink on Beast.
Pushback's there onto Hamuzi as well, and now it's typical TN on the run being run at by Six Dog. Veil Rocket Barrage is there, and that missile will kill him. But now it's Dual Breath there on a Six Dog, but they will not go for that one. Gyrocopter, high ground, a little bit too dangerous, they say. And you know what? Fire actually defend their Tier 1 tower doing that. It's still alive somehow.
Yeah, and really, back to the Jakiro, he is playing really nicely around his level 10 timing. You have the attack range talent on top of finishing up your Witchblade, so a lot of these thin heroes on etW side are definitely going to be his targets. But now you have this opportunity. In 15 seconds, Dark Ascension is going to be available to Hamuzi, and right as he actually pops it, it's also going to be nighttime. Unfortunately,
Turp. Also for Turp Castle, Global Silence is there, so there's no Spear quite yet, but the right clicks may just be too much. He's on the run once again. Lightning Bolt comes in. Down goes Turp Castle.
What a
Pushback's there on the 2. Sharpshooter comes on and will actually miss, but it will not matter. Down goes Mjon. Down goes Hamuzi. That God's Rebuke. 3 more kills for Antimeta, and somehow, some way, this team is winning in both kills and gold.
Yeah, and you see Turp pinging it out immediately. They were a little bit too ready for the bounty, but In addition to that, MJON wasn't able to get any vision up, and I think forcing to use his global silence a little bit too early there to try and get Turp out actually ended up losing them the fight. And now you have a really nice push on the mid lane. Of course, the Night Stalker still has Dark Ascension, but you're playing into Blink Arena. I don't think you're going to allow them.
Speaking of Blink Arena, it's down to Sasquatch, right down to half HP. In comes Dual Breath. In comes Lightning from Zeus. Down goes Sasquatch. It's a mega kill streak for Jakiro. He's 10-2. Dire, they're running forward, but this could be another rough fight.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to look for this engagement, but the Radiant have done a really good job of getting some really nice vision. They do finally deward it there. Johnny's a little bit too on the nose, but okay, now the Jakiro.
Find Jakiro, the Gas Macro Power Pushback is there though on him. The income Sharpshooter. Down goes Jakiro. Down goes Silencer. Sorry, Jakiro's still up, but down goes Night Stalker. Meanwhile, it's 6 Dog in the backlines. Finds Stalker, finds the kill there on Hoodwink as well. But now he's tanking Ice Path. He tanks the hits from Karan. Down goes Gyrocopter, and now it's Beast 2.0 once again running in, and they're once again all chatting. They may regret this later.
Yeah, it's
good meme, good meme.
It is pretty intense, but yeah, I think right now etW, they've got a few drawbacks in their lineup. They don't have an initiator with their heroes right now. They're definitely playing to be a little bit more annoying, and they're more about counter initiating than actually taking those fights on their own terms. I think that's where the silencer would definitely feel a little bit stronger, but you also see on display, you throw it on the macro pyre, you throw it on all of your Jakiro spells, and your supports just die. It's very hard for etW to get into those fights, especially with how the Radiant are setting up their team, just having the Mars out in front, Jakiro right behind him, and it's very obnoxious to actually get on top of these heroes, and that's where the magic-oriented Gyrocopter is definitely struggling to feel impactful. I think that's why we're seeing a BKB coming out as early as it is from 6Dog. Once he has it, he can definitely play with some more confidence. During all this time, though, Karan has been able to get that Maelstrom. He's able to farm up, and he's definitely been able to save his game a little bit, because before this, he was definitely farming at a much slower pace.
I'm actually a little surprised Karan's games recovered so nicely. You expected the Falcon Blade, and the way the fights were going, he'd be far behind, but he's actually finding farm suddenly. It is a 4-man smoke in the Radiant Tri-Camp. They will break up one immediately. Bot lane, though, they may dive onto the Zeus. They are tracking an F3 there. Meanwhile, at the top lane, once again, they're looking for Hamingzy, but he's very fast. Are there spells? It's Yules, into Macro Power and Ice Path, into the Spear, into the Bushwhack, into the Sharpshooter. Down goes Hamingzy.
And that is another 5-man rotation. If there's one thing that the Radiant could definitely do a little bit better is knowing when to approach and actually bring the full 5-man. I think they're over-rotating a little bit, which in turn means that etW gets to take half of your map. They're playing in 2 lanes right now, and Rice Cooker,
Zeus is in severe danger. Not even an avalanche, just simply a toss. They simply walk away from him as he's already dead.
Yeah, and then they get to now immediately go for this tower. This is where Radiant are definitely falling behind a little bit in the decisiveness, where you go top, you get a pick there, sure, that's fine, but you don't find the objective to follow it up. And while you were up there, you try to take some vision out of your enemy's hands, you don't even place vision of your own. So it does feel like that expenditure was a little bit too much. That expedition ended up costing them really the mid tower, all of the bot farm, and the majority of the creep camps across the map for the past 2 minutes. So they really need to shore that up a little bit, because the only one farming when they're making these big rotations is Karan. So it's definitely a little bit too much from them, I think.
It's one of those things where once these fights start going south, they're going to start losing basically all the gold they're getting on Jakiro and Mars. They're getting almost entirely fight gold. So if they're not farming, if they start losing the fights, and this game goes from being pretty bad to being an absolute disaster in a matter of, what, like 6 minutes?
Yeah, and they're definitely still in it. There's really not been too much changing across the map, but especially now, I understand why they're being a little bit more defensive. You are playing at nighttime. It's an opportunity that you don't want to give over to the Night Stalker. It makes his game a little bit too easy. But it also feels like you're definitely falling behind your opponents a little bit, especially with Sasquatch building very quickly into that Silver Edge. And once you get Silver Edge, this hero feels like a monster. It becomes, once you have Silver Edge, then you look towards the Shard. Once you have the Shard, you look towards the BKB. And once you get BKB in this game, no one can fight the Tiny. That's the timing that Sasquatch is really going to look for, and one where the game very realistically might end. It's the big reason why this hero is so valued. You take 1 or 2 mistakes and you turn it into buildings. It's one of the easiest heroes to really get the ball rolling.
And they do say Rolling Stone gathers no moss, and very soon Sasquatch will not be gathering moss.
Mm-hmm.
This is potentially a big fight happening in the Radiant side jungle here. Both teams are there. Radiant have smoked as 3 running towards the outpost. They will actually go towards the river instead. I think they see Handmusi on those creeps at the river, but Dire are in a good spot to potentially pincer. They have the travels as well on 6-dog. Now they go in, it's the Blink Arena in the spear there on Handmusi. Soul Silence is there, so there's very little fall there on that Night Stalker. Dire are not quite there yet. Necropower, Ice Path are there to Handmusi. Handmusi will go down in the response. They say, you know what? We won't respond. We're once again going to split. It's 6-dog top lane and Sasquatch bot lane.
Yeah, and I think now Radiant, they just need to be a little bit set up. I think Beast 2.0 has been a good job, or has been doing a good job of getting on top of his targets, but focus on this mid tower, actually get a successful push going for you, and then you get to take a lot of your opponent's map, because right now, of course, I think Johnny will go down here, but you are chasing your opponents a little bit too much. And unfortunately for etW, this mid-tower push will be very successful.
They'll
But
buy back, though. Big fight mid lane, potentially.
Well,
League of Emperors immediately dead to that just crit plus Shadow Blade hits from Sasquatch. That's a 9 streak going to 6-dog. And they certainly want to get more if they can get it. They are running across the river right now, looking for that Radiant side jungle. They see typical TN on that ward and Rice Cooker. Turp Castle now setting up those tracks. They want to get more. But who will they get? They see Mars. His blink is broken. Big kill if they can get. Arcane Curse is there. Track is there. They'll spear with Turp Castle, but now in comes Handmusi. He has ascended. Avalanche, toss, right clicks, down goes Beast 2.0. And now they head to that Hoodwink, who once again is tracked. It's Veil, Rocket Barrage, Shuriken Toss, Tree Toss, far too much damage. Down goes typical TN. Now 3 kills going to the ETW direction.
yeah, they play into the Dark Ascension too much. As soon as they see that they already committed the arena and that they're incredibly split away from their Jakiro, stop chasing the silencer, guys. If you want to get the mid tower, just play with your Jakiro for 1 or 2 more moments. They don't even get it, even though they forced out the glyph from ETW, and now, unfortunately for them, this game is starting to fall apart, and it's
really is. Necropower is there to do a lot of damage. Down goes 6-dog, down goes Turp Castle. Red Silver actually is still alive. Now dies to that Arcane Curse. Now in comes Karan. He's on M-John. Last word silence will be there, but M-John should eventually die anyway, so hits from Karan. Needs, I believe, 2 more. Correction, a Maelstrom proc is good enough, so 3 kills go to ETW. Less than a minute later, 3 kills go right back.
Yeah, and fortunately for them, they were really just out of their depth, I think, on etW. You're playing without Nighttime, you're playing without Dark Ascension, and you're playing into your opponent's respawn timers a little bit. I think now Radiant just march over it towards this tier 2 mid, finally pick it off, and then you're feeling pretty happy with yourselves. Unfortunately for them, they aren't able to actually get this Roshan going until they have maybe a little bit more damage coming from the Clinks. Something like the crit stick could be the opportunity for them to actually make that play. But that's where, again, for etW, a lot of these plays don't actually matter because you're playing towards this BKB timing where Gyro's already finished his, but Sasquatch, once he has his, this Tiny is going to feel like a monster in these engagements.
He's just getting so farmed so fast. He's actually opting not to go for the shard before the BKB, but you know what? It's a pretty good BKB game, so we'll have it in, give or take, 2,700 gold. 700? Sorry, 1,700 gold. Did a little math wrong. Turns out staring at spreadsheets and Dota for 7 hours is not good for the brain, but yeah, he is going to have the BKB quite soon.
Yeah, and it's definitely a mistake, but we won't talk about that.
See, most people are afraid to call out Sasquatch for mistakes, but you were not afraid.
No, definitely not. Well, I mean, if we were talking about mistakes, Mike also could have bought the Mithril Hammer first and then disassembled his Echo Saber to play around his team's timing a little bit more, but we don't talk about mistakes. This is a really smart smoke up, though, especially if they find the Jakiro.
Thinks the dust is there, but income Radiant, they look to defend. Mike has ascended. He wants to go in once again. BKB's are popped. Global is popped. They go for the Hoodwink. Hoodwink will go down. Now they move once again back to the Clinks. Clinks is low. Call down is there. Down goes under that tier 2 tower. Necropower is there. They want to defend. Rena is there on 3, but how many can they kill? Down goes 6-dog. But it's a trade, though, for the Zeus and the Jakiro. It's already 4 down for side of the Radiant, and they're running at Mars, who is tracked, who has no blink. It is on cooldown. He will go down in the shadow of that tier 2 tower, and it will be a full 5-man wipe.
Yeah, Perfectly executed from them. They don't even march over to this area to take the high ground vision. They instead get caught by that beautiful three-man bushwhack from typical TN, but unfortunately for them, it's just simply not enough. I think all of the cores got kited into the Tiny, and you're playing versus Tiny. Safe lane Tiny, no less. You are going to get shredded if you're not actually able to kite him out. In addition to that, your Jakiro was caught so far out of position, and even Karan was getting shredded by the Shroudcopter. I don't think he knows how the homing missile shard works, because he was eating double rocket barrage for pretty much all of his HP pool and then just gets taken down. Maybe once his BKB is up, we'll see some more confidence coming in from that Clinks, but it does feel like Karan needs so many items that he's farming at a very slow pace, something to definitely be concerned with, because you look at the BKBs, already finished on Tiny, and Mike is only, what, 400 gold away? Once the Night Stalker has his, it's just going to be so easy for them to absolutely whop the floor with their opponents. There's nothing you can do once those BKBs are committed except wait for them to be over.
It's one more fight in the Radiant side. Jungle Ice Path is there to Mjon into that sharpshooter, but now it's Dire on the back ends. Both back ends will go down. Typical TN and Mjon, both fives are now dead, and now in come Dire, looking for more Sasquatch. There's a lot of damage. BKB is popped down. Joe's Jakiro. Now to move to the Mars, who also is in the BKB. Hoodwink has bought back. Now Dire, main to be careful. Bushwhack is there in Hamzy. He will go down the Radiant, look for more. Both of them are in biz, but they know both of them are in the arena. God's Rebuke, Spear, there, it hits. Turbo Castle, Sasquatch both go down straight though for Beast 2.0. Now in comes 6, actually fighting 1v3, but the Radiant just run from the Gyro. They say, wait, Gyro, he's alone. Go in, kill this man. They know he's alone, but can they get him? Probably not. But overall there for the Radiant, that was a very good fight. They actually end up trading 2 for 4.
Yeah, this game is just a brawl. Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but more importantly, when Radiant decide to take this engagement, they get the ward up on the hill. Of course, etW does have Dark Ascension, so that's what they were using, or at least planning to use. Unfortunately, again, without that BKB on the Night Stalker finished off, Hamingzy went down incredibly early on in that engagement, as well as Six Dog still playing a little bit too far from his teammates. So you are feeling the pressure a little bit now as Radiant are finishing up some of their bigger items themselves, like the BKB, almost finished up on this Clinks. Don't think it honestly changes too much, especially versus the Tiny. That's a big reason why the Tiny is so strong. He wins more or less every single carry matchup, but that's also where once Karan gets this Eye of Scotty, it does feel like if the Clinks can get set up, especially with those skeletons, it's very difficult for Sasquatch to actually approach. Everyone on etW's team actually struggles to play into those archers.
It should be fun to see exactly who will end up doing well in the late game. You have to assume it's going to be etW, not necessarily because of the hero matchups necessarily, but just because they have the better, more seasoned players. It should be fun to see regardless. I mean, obviously Tiny, very strong. And Sasquatch has been playing a very good Tiny game so far. This game, so I would expect it to simply eventually turn Dire-sided. Obviously the gold lead is already 6k in their favor, though. Yeah, it's probably going to grow some more. It's not getting smaller.
Yeah, and you also see Sasquatch making, I think, a very good decision here, going for the Blink Dagger now. Sometimes Tinies immediately go for the Satanic, they look for those other big items, but getting the little Blink will just allow him to start the fight before really anyone on the Radiant side should be ready for it, as well as giving them that initiator that they really lack in their team as of right now. But that's also where etW are still doing a very good job of taking the control out of the Radiant team's hands. It's where they are definitely getting a little bit scared on the Radiant side. I think they are waiting for Karan to sync back up with them, and then we'll probably see some more big engagements. But that's also where Six Dog, he just is always split push deeping to these lanes. If they really wanted, I think Radiant could set up a kill on him, but it does feel like Radiant are very scared of the engagement that Dark W or etW could start at any moment here.
As it probably should be. It's a 4-man smoke now from etW. They perhaps want to go under the tower, if they can see another opportunity. Everybody but Six Dog is there, and Sasquatch's smoke, I believe, actually popped there, but it was not in range of the engagements.
They know what's going on here. Unfortunately, they were unable to take away this vision here, but
it's global time. They want to go for the dive there on Karan. He has BKB, though. The Ascension is there from Hamzy. They're running at the Clinks right now. But now they actually turned to Hamzy, who actually did not use his BKB quite yet. Back to Silence. Their Ice Path is there. Looking to fill there on that global Silence man. He will indeed go down. Now in comes Six Dog. Call down's there on 3. He pops his BKB as well, but actually must now run away from the damage of Karan. Overall, there's something like 6 BKBs expended, and only 1 Silencer dead.
Yeah. Definitely some misplays from the boys. I think they are playing a little bit too heavily into their opponents. Of course, their wave gets macro pyred. It's an Ags macro pyre as well, so it does so much damage. They really need to consider how they want to begin these fights. I think, again, wait for this tiny Blink Dagger to be accomplished, but
They see
also
Turp
try to get
Castle.
the
Bushwhack
vision.
is there now.
Yeah.
In comes Hamzy. In comes Sasquatch. They want to defend this man. Turp Castle is dead. Ice Path actually gets there onto the Tiny. The arena is only there onto the Tiny, but can he survive? BKB is there. He will indeed TP away now. Now it's Hamzy. He's on the run, but it's daytime. The Ascension, it's on cooldown. He should eventually go down. Question is not if, but when. Bushwhack. Spear misses, but in comes Ice Path. Down goes Hamzy. So 2 more kills. Sloppy retreat there from the Dire once again.
Yeah. I really think that all comes back to the mid lane, though, where they're trying to force the issue with Global, but until this Blink Dagger was purchased by Sasquatch, they don't have initiation. If you look at Hamming as well, he has not gone for the Blink on that NS just yet. He's still waiting to build himself up a little bit more, and now this might be Radiant's turn to throw a little bit. Karan is posted up in the Roche pit, but you don't have crit. This is not very fast, and
Typical
well,
TN.
typical
Oh, the
TN.
evasion! The evasion. Okay, never mind. No, it didn't. The Arcane Curse is. No, it's not enough damage. He survives. Back to the Roshan pit. It's Mars still hitting. Now Karan is man fighting with Six Dog. Nimbus is there. Six Dog Nova remains alive. That evasion from the Hoodwink. Big deal in that fight, actually. And now they turn to Six Dog once again, top lane. Karan is stunned, though. Dire with Sasquatch may look to engage. Tree Toss just destroys typical TN. And now it's 1 dead in the Radiant. Turp Castle is tracking, and now Dire have that vision supremacy. They may look for a very favorable engagement soon.
Yeah, it's strange that Radiant aren't taking this obs away from their opponents, but this does mean that if they step a little bit too far out forward, this fight could definitely come. They're finally purging off some of these tracks from each other because, again, you can't give this vision over the Sasquatch, who is ready to pounce if he's able to get those opportunities. And Karan
Pounces on Karan, but Karan pops the BKB. Now turns on Sasquatch. Sasquatch pops the Shadow Blade and runs away. Dire, though, they once again use track. They're waiting. Like a snake, a cobra, just waiting in the wings here. They want the right engagements.
Yeah, and that's where, unfortunately, for etW, if Sasquatch did have the Aghanim Shard, they could simply force their opponents to come into the pit. I think he really does need to pick it up pretty soon here. But I also feel like they're just able to walk towards this nighttime where they will feel much more comfortable making some of those plays like that, as well as Hamming also only 400 or 500 gold away from his Blink Dagger. So he is making quick progress as well, while again, the Radiant are falling behind just a little bit, specifically the Mars and the Jakiro after finishing up their previous big items, those being the BKB and the Aghanim Scepter. They haven't really been able to progress, I think, partially because the Zeus has been taking a lot of that farm in addition to the Clinks, but it does feel like they're a little bit cramped inside their own base, but how they take this smoke could explode them back onto the map here. They got to be so careful in
smoke
etW.
time. They see Turp Castle. It's easy kill if they can
Well,
get it. Ice Path, though, it misses. Nimbus hits, Rebuke is in, and down goes Turp Castle. Radiant, though, want more than a bounty hunter. They want more than that. It could be Roshan time. It could be Tier 2 tower time. Let's find out.
Yeah, I honestly think that they should just go to Roche, but they literally can't. Karan needs to buy the crit stick, and they don't even have a wave to push into the mid tower. Six Dog is just a little bit too aware, and that's where, again, they still have to deward this high ground here. Six Dog with the Blink Dagger as well is just going to keep forcing his opponents back to the base, and with a minute towards nighttime, this is where Hamming might look to make that Dark Ascension known again. I think they should definitely smoke up in the next 20 seconds or so. It's just a free play you always get to make with this NS.
Yeah, they do have 2 smokes in M John if that's the play they want to make, but they're a little bit spread out right now. They still lack Turp Castle for 17 seconds. Perhaps they'll do a little bit of a congregation at this high ground sort of area, and then perhaps smoke around the Roshan pit. But for now, it's a bit of inaction, a little bit of farming for the side of etW. But then again, the same can be said about the side of Antimeta. They're simply content to farm right now, pushing in a side lane or two, hitting some double camps.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to tell who actually scales better in this situation. I think that the Radiant have far superior high ground as compared to etW, but you also have arguably the best hero in the game right now, that being the Tiny. So it's very difficult to tell. the issue with this tiny hero is that eventually you get to a point where you kill buildings, and there's not much you can do about it on the Radiant side. As good as your wave clear is, it's always going to be permanent damage, and Sasquatch is prodding a little bit here, getting a little bit too close to the high ground for my own liking, but that's where
He
they
is
go for this
hasted and
jump.
engaged immediately on typical TN. Typical TN goes down. Ice Path will miss. And now Dire, they have one and they may look for more. They pop the Arcane Curse on the Beast 2.0, but he blinks away in time. But now Hamzy has ascended. They want more kills. Or perhaps that kill instead will be the Roshan. They're pigging it out and they immediately walk all 5 into the Roshan pits.
Yep, and this is what they need to do versus teams who are going to sit on their high ground, force them to go take the other objective. You've already claimed all of the outer towers, might as well get this Roche under your belt as well, and it just means that they get to take the Aegis, they get to take the next Aegis. It feels like now this Aegis won't be them breaking the high ground most likely, this will be just them taking control over the entirety of the map.
Aegis goes to Sasquatch, will be there for the next 5 minutes, give or take. And, well, this could be now the next 5 minutes of Dire simply completely gaining an untenable level of map control over the side of the Radiance, where it's like, alright, now Radiant can't really play Dota anymore, can't really farm anymore. Karana's up the base, but at this point, Radiant are just so scared.
Yeah, they don't want to give up any plays here. If they do, it's just going to be them kind of waterfalling in, as well as, again, they got to split the map a little bit more here. Take a note out of ETWs, because just look at how much net worth they've been able to amass over the past few minutes. And again, if they can set up on this gyrocopter, it should be a very free kill for them, but I also feel like they're just a little bit too far, and Karan spoils the play there. If he waits for his Mars, that is a dead gyrocopter if he's not able to react to the spear, but instead he's giving his opponents a chance here, and they're collapsing right now.
Yeah, they see
got to be so
Karan
careful.
perhaps. The Karan's invis. They instead see typical TN. The dust is pop, but Karan has run away now. They see Mars. Hamzy once again goes in. Mars pops the BKB and will TP away. Hoodwink. They don't know she's here, actually, so she will be fine. So somehow Radiance make a number of unforced errors but lose absolutely nothing but their pride.
Whoa. Well, there you go. 3x call down.
It's always, I mean, there's no way this is the right talent choice, but 6-log, actually maybe it is with this build, because it makes sense with the magic build. We usually see the 6-second flat cannon cooldown reduction, because, you know, very good. But you know what? Maybe it's a good game for that 3-time cooldown.
Yeah, he's just gotten some psycho inventory. It's kind of hilarious what he actually has. He's got the refresher, so I guess you have, what,
Well,
6 cooldowns? But I don't know.
I literally can't do 3 times 2. It's 6. You're right. 6 cooldowns for 6-dog.
It's just a little bit silly. I think if you wanted to go for this build as well, then you wouldn't really be too annoyed if you got possibly the Ethereal Blade. I think Blade with this build would have been sick. You just get Dagon, and then suddenly your barrages do even more, and you get to actually burst some of these heroes that especially Sasquatch is going on. But I don't know. I feel like they're happy with their position right now. ETW are definitely just playing with their food. I think look at how scared their posture is on the Radiant side. It really does feel like they're hesitant to start a fight even on their own terms. And I think this is what their lineup was meant to do, but this isn't the winning play. The winning play would be to try and get out of your map as soon as this Aegis does expire, and then look for some of these pickoffs and some of these kills, especially if you can force out BKBs early on heroes like the Night Stalker and the Gyrocopter. They're definitely easy targets after the fact.
Zeus is in danger. He's being gone right now, and he will go down here. Though it's a 2-man arena there onto the Silencer and the Bounty Hunter, they want some counter kills. Dual Breath is there. Mjon will go down now. Income task onto the backlines. Finds Clinks, but Clinks remains half HP. Global Silence is there now from a like Mjon. True Castle runs, but dies so guys. Rebuke and Radiant want to get more spear. Will miss. And meanwhile, bot lane, it's 6-dog on Gyrocopter. It's a bit of that split push damage there in that tier 3 tower. Some unhealable damage, perhaps, but yeah, the fight is over.
Yeah. And I think now, with the Aegis expiring in a minute here, any poke at the high ground will definitely cease for the side of ETW, but you do have that shard finally picked up by Sasquatch, so he gets to play the I'm going to farm everything, there's nothing you can do about it Tiny, and if they ever decide to play in the side lanes, it's very simple for Sasquatch to distract you. You have to be really careful, especially when you end up using your glyph. It does feel like it's very simple for them to find those easy punishes.
Did they remove the ability to draw on the minimap? I can't draw on the minimap, makes me sad.
Yeah, same here.
Desperately, desperately trying to draw stuff. You were describing how Radiant were in the base. Like, oh yeah, draw this like semicircle around the Radiant's high grounds. But no. This looks like an absolute fool right now.
Oh, on top. Karan
Yes.
scouting out.
He sees him. Six Long, though, has that blink once again. How fast the reaction time? Never mind, they don't even try it. It's a lack of killer instinct.
Yeah, and I think that is the major problem right now for the Radiant. It does feel like they aren't really making those decisive plays. It does feel like they're playing into their opponent's hand a little bit too much here. And
Mars
look
is
at
in severe
Sasquatch.
danger. Sasquatch has engaged. Mars popped the big KB now. Pushback is there on Sasquatch. His half HP global sounds is there. Sasquatch has a BKB of his own. Does not pop it though because he has Aegis still. Aegis is now lost. And now it is Dire, who are a bit split but may look to engage further. Six Dog comes in. We're seeing a stun there on Sasquatch. Sasquatch pops the BKB looking for the Hoodwink. Has that Force Staff though. Meanwhile, Dire, runs Jakiro, and that Clinks. They turn back to Pushback. No! Hoodwink just dies actually. Or sorry, just TPs away, I should say. So somehow nobody dies there but the Aegis.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit strange from etW. I think if you get set up a little bit more here, especially around this Radiant high ground, you get that cutoff play where you get to meet all of the heroes running back and away from that Aegis carrier, as well as I think Sasquatch just needing to BKB out of the Zeus's Nimbus there. Just allows him to blank out and then maybe find an easy rebuttal kill on that Hoodwink. But with these long fights, it definitely feels like there are still a lot of these forcing moves, and with the Dark Ascension used during daytime, this is the perfect time for them to smoke on the Radiant side. Finally get a pick here.
They found Six Log, Spear, Nimbus are there. Six Log certainly will go down. It is a big pick off the man who's been pushing their lanes constantly. Well, you can't push the man if he's dead.
Yeah, and that's where I think etW could definitely be doing a slightly better job when it comes to finding more of the plays where they're actually able to get objectives after the fact. I think that they're happy with their constantly gaining gold lead, but you look at the net worth and you see the gyrocopter is top of the board. Unfortunately, he's got probably the most useless items I've seen in the gyrocopter's inventory for a while. And if he dies like the way he is, you're not a Razor. Imagine if a Razor had the items that he would have right here. It would feel like he'd be the biggest Razor in the entire world. Maybe knock off the Kai Assange, but point still stands. And I think looking for that secondary carry has been a big struggle for them, where Hammingsy has not been able to fill that secondary role that I think Sasquatch really needs him to in this game.
Fundamentally for now though, Dire, they can still make some mistakes. They are ahead by 15k gold lead, they have a tower lead, they have this Tiny who ultimately will be the late game carry if the time comes, but if they continue to let this Radiant team stay in the game, they're adding variance, and the more variance you add, the higher chance Dire loses at this point.
Yeah, in addition to that, you do still have fantastic high ground. It does feel like the only way etW can actually take buildings is if Sasquatch is leading the charge and then just chunking him down, possibly trading his BKB for that damage. But this is smoke number 3. Third smoke in the past, I think, 3 or 4 minutes here from the Radiant side, and I think they look for someone a little bit more important here. Unfortunately, Mike does have the Dark Ascension now. So if they aren't careful, a big fight could definitely spell disaster for them. And if they lose on their side of the map where they've continuously been forced to play, that's where the Tiny will start to shred your buildings. And I don't think too many of their heroes playing around buybacks right now, only the Jakiro having it on the Radiant side.
Looking at the Radiant jungle, both teams are playing very close to each other. It is blink distance practically, but neither team wants to engage him blindly. Both are waiting for the right opportunity still. Dire, perhaps wait for the tracks still. Turf Castle is sitting on top of Karan, but neither see each other. Now the track is there onto the Zeus. Now in comes Mars. Rina's there onto the Silencer and the Bounty Hunter. Silencer goes down. He has no buyback. Down goes Bounty Hunter. And Radiant, they have found 2, but they want more than support. So they now run at the cores with the cores. They are very fast and they are very out of here. Wait, Sasquatch, he's actually going in. Six Dog has arrived as well. Now Radiant on top of Hammingsy. Hammingsy BKBs. He ascends. Right on the back lines. It's Sasquatch and Six Dog looking for more. Hoodwink will go down very soon, but they need more. Six Dog refreshes the call down. Has it on everybody. Sasquatch pops Satanic. Man fights. Goes on Mars. Hammingsy goes down. Mars goes down as well. Now it's Karan. Man fighting Six Dog. Six Dog on the run. Nimbus is there. Down goes Six Dog. And now Sasquatch on top of Karan. Needs a little bit more damage. Tree tosses, but misses, and Karan gets away, and now Sasquatch, who's being kited. Ice Path, though, misses, but Jakiro has more spells to miss still. Lightning Bolt is there, Liquid Fire is there, Dual Breath, Avalanche is the turn, but Sasquatch needs to get on top of these heroes. He's just too slow. Pop Satanic, Ice Path though comes in, Burning Barrage is there, Gyrocopter buys back, Tree Toss, miss on Karan once again. Now Jakiro is Yules, may need to be in danger here, but now Six Dog buys back, returns, Sasquatch goes down, so does Jakiro, so does Zeus, and now Six Dog looking for Karan.
Oh, no.
The missile is there, but he's a bit more damage. Six Dog has Blink into, will go in. Has detection, missile, Rocket Barrage, Karan goes down. It's a full 5-man wipe. My lord.
Maybe that's my muscle memory right there, but I just tried to tip him. That was really nicely played from Six Dog. And now, with the buyback from Sasquatch, this is where you need to be scared. Of course, you have buyback on so many members of the Radiant side, but you're going to end up in this awkward situation where do you want to buy back on the Mars when you only have 25 seconds? I think the answer is no. So this means that you're at least going to get Glyph here. I think one set of racks is definitely on the
Six
table.
Dog once again is there. Global Silence is there. Zeus will go down. Mars Arena is there, but they all have BKBs other than Turp Castle. Turp Castle is taking the damage. Necropire is there. Now Jakiro may go down. He heals himself. Needs to stay alive. Sasquatch hits. Juice. Ice Path is there. Sasquatch is kited, but still has actually no items left. Satanic BKB both on cooldown. Can they get Sasquatch? Ice Path is there. Is there help? Half HP. Spear back. Quarter HP. Sasquatch goes down. It's a dieback on Tiny.
Yeah, I don't think they really knew what they were getting into. At least there wasn't the same level of agency coming from anyone else on etW's side. Fortunately for them, though, they do have this perfect win condition called the enemy team doesn't have 4 of their buybacks. All of their key players now also losing a big chunk of gold. The biggest thing for etW at this point, you got to kite the waves. This is a Tiny dead for 100 seconds. Unfortunately, I don't think that Karan can necessarily end the game here, but this is at least going to be an Aegis and a lot of real estate now given over to the Radiant side.
Karan drops his Falcon Blade on the grounds. He has a backpack. Choose not to use it. Roshan, though, well, it should go down now to the Radiant. Six Dog is there, but this is a little bit wild even for Six Dog. But Radiant actually vacate the pit for a little bit. Six Dog buys time, now cuts the wave top lane as well. We're seeing M-John, also bottom lane. Radiant still in the Roshan pit, will grab it. But they're losing time. It's already 1 minute of that 2-minute respawn of Sasquatch gone. And Dire have 3 buybacks. They may have blown this opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely think, again, it's player agency. If you're actually able to make those quick decisions, not only do you get the Aegis, but you also put pressure on the mid-tier 3 tower, possibly get a Glyph out of the Dire at the same time. It's those little plays that definitely begin to add up, and I think now you are going to play a little bit behind. I don't think that Sasquatch is really going to play any differently. I think maybe play a little bit closer to your teammates, especially if any of his teammates are able to get a 4-staff. Please get a 4-staff. But
this is a big fight in the Radiant side jungle, perhaps.
Yeah.
Both teams are missing key buybacks. Turp Castle has the ward, though. It's fantastic. Call down comes in. Radiant run forward. They pop that Thunder God's Wrath, but they can't get anybody but M-John. M-John is caught. Will go down. Has buyback. It's a trade, though, for Zeus, who went down to Six Dog, who jumped the backlines outside of the Radiant. So 1 support for 1 support. Zeus, though, has no buyback. And now Six Dog fights with the Jakiro and Dire, TP and Sasquatch, who has now returned to the fight. Handmingsley ascends. The Abyssal is there. Mars Arena, it's there on 2. Sasquatch, come in. Jakiro remains alive, but the bashes are there. Jakiro dies back. And now Sasquatch, man fights Mars. Certainly wins that man fight. Meanwhile, Six Dog, who finds Hoodwink, kills her easily. And now Karan is stunned. They know he's there. They're kiting this man. They've tracked this man. He's half HP. Global Silence is there. Typical Tamil, by the way, will not matter. Karan goes down, lose the Aegis, and they must keep their Clinks alive now. But how can they do it? Karan,
count your bashes.
With the bashes. It's far too much. Karan is tracked, will go down. It will be a dieback on Clinks. And Radiant may fight on, but dear God, this is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, Sasquatch is waiting for the tree. We'll have to see if they go for Megas or if they actually try to end the game here, but... Oh, Sas should just hit.
He wanted it. He wanted the kill at the fountain, but they instead have to be content with at least 2 sets of barracks, perhaps.
Yeah, that engagement was
Six
just a
Dog
little bit
engages
too
on typical
crazy.
TN. Down goes Hoodwink.
So
Spear is back there onto back off the blade of Abyssal, but Mars will go down eventually, sooner rather than later. Toss, right click, rocket barrage, down goes the Mars, and Zeus is back, but alone. 13,000 net worth Zeus cannot defend against this net worth of the Dire.
Yeah, and they should just be able to end the game here. I think Sasquatch is making the right decision. Everybody else is making the wrong one, but it's okay.
Yeah, it actually is. Radiant
But
Gold
yeah,
Glyph, but this is likely the last glyph of the game. We're once again seeing Jakiro all chat, but you have to have a higher than 14% win rate in last all chat, sir.
yeah, and it just feels like, I don't know, they just got to do exactly what they want. This is a sad death as well, and there you go.
God, he's just dead in the
One more
fountain.
for Six Dog.
I mean, it's over. It's a very interesting game, to the least. Both teams made a lot of unforced errors, but in the very end, etW wins in 50 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean ETW. I mean I got to be a little bit biased here, but they played awfully. Yeah, they were not doing so hot. It did feel like they weren't able to get a lot of the kills that felt like they really were deserved, as well as playing a little bit too split. Maybe that's the Six Dog effect. It definitely felt like they adopted a very early split push style early on, despite being stronger than their opponents. But their opponents definitely enabled that style, and it is a little bit sad. At the end of the day, we never got to see Antimeta actually fight to defend their high ground. They were just caught in too many poor positions when it came to actually taking them out. So WCYD, I think just go next game. Try not to give this tiny over to ETW because, again, best hero in the game loses 0 matchups in Dota, as well as the Night Stalker, which it felt like Mike definitely had a slower game, and he was definitely someone that was falling behind in terms of the other cores. But you give all this vision over to both Six Dog and Sasquatch to allow them to get those big initiations. It just feels like their team fight was simply better than Antimeta in addition to their execution.
Man, this is it's a wild game. This is the best way to put it. Like I understand you've given the analytical side. I'm giving the non-logical side where it's that's some wild Dota. Some absolutely wild Dota. It's just very chaotic game is the best way to describe it. There's no way to describe it as other than just completely chaotic. I mean, there were heroes everywhere constantly all game. Six Dogs pushing, Radiant taking these good engagements, then taking bad engagements, then just losing the Dota game, and you love to see it as a viewer. You love to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, what? Up until the 17-minute mark, I think we were sitting at 2 kills a minute. It was definitely a bloodbath early on. I think the big issue is that when Antimeta decided to really pick up these heroes, they work together in isolation, I think, very well with each other. But in terms of their lanes, the Jakiro does pretty much the same job that the Zeus does, and the Hoodwink doesn't really have anyone to follow up on aside from that Mars. So it felt like there's a little bit too much separation in their draft. In addition, I think to some misplays in their item ordering, because it did feel like really only one of their players ended up having a game, that being Karan. And I think for a team to actually work out, you need to get a little bit more of a game from everyone else, as well as that Jakiro falling off of the face of the earth after those BKBs were up. It was just earning the wins, or ETW playing around their BKB timings a little bit too well.
Welcome back to the lobby. You missed Dark. He said down with ET. I responded with up with ET, down with everyone else.
I see none of it. So IDC.
You're slightly too late to the all chat party. Looks like Dark though has returned. We will be missing Terp Castle as the actual 4-player has returned, Mr. Dark Dota.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for Dark, a man living his life in the real world is definitely rusted up a little bit. Ah, yes. Now Sasquatch is all chatting me. What did I do? I'm so confused.
You decided to play with Sheepstick and fucking Zaryscape. That's what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I want to flex my muscles, you know. I want to carry my own team, but I know you can check out my lads games too. Those games are sick as fuck. But
I've casted a few, it's been a good time, man.
But I also think that going forward, I guess talking back to my point with Dark, he's a man that has touched grass. He's definitely been out of the Dota scene for a little bit here, and now going with Six Dog, I wonder if he's going to gel a little bit better with Terp. The only problem with Terp in that team is I do think that both the Bounty Hunter and the Gyrocopter wanted to accomplish, again, very similar roles. It was very similar offline to what Antimeta put together. And unfortunately, when you start stepping on each other's toes, it definitely felt like one person started taking the lead while the Bounty Hunter definitely subsided in its effectiveness, even though Six Dog really never skipped a beat. So we'll have to see if Dark is going to slot in that same vein, or if he's going to play a slightly more traditional approach to the 4 position. But I'm excited, get to see my friends play, and get to see some people who all chat after picking offlane Jakiro lose. Like,
It's fun to juxtapose like you seriously analyzing the game. I'm like just like giving it the all chat going on between like Dark and Sasquatch and the Takuro player. I'm just sitting here
yeah.
giggling because this is stupid.
Yeah, I don't really know where it comes
stuff.
from too, because I mean, you lost. I think that they could have won. Of course, from our position, it's definitely easier to call what everybody wants to do. But even when I was on Dark W, that was the name of the game. It was just we make right decisions and we play off of those correct decisions to usually win our games, regardless of our drafts. Because our drafts definitely got a little bit clowny towards a certain degree, and the drafts are already getting a little bit clowny here because we see the first phase Zeus fan coming out from etW. But here, if I'm Sasquatch, simply first pick the Tiny, best hero in Dota, unless they want to purposely go for maybe some uh, bingo Dota 2 card where they tried to tick as many boxes as possible. That was definitely a season. I think that was our first season. We tried to be as variable as we could. I can definitely see them swapping up their ideas, but on a serious note, if they want to win, just first pick Tiny. It's simply too good.
I'm gonna grab some water. You good on water as well?
Oh, I've got gallons of water in my room.
Alright, I need a larger water bottle then, because I like grab water routine every single game I cast. So I'll be back in about 2 minutes. I'll see you soon. I'm sure it'll be fine. Alas,
Sure.
we don't have any fancy esports music to play in between games here, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
We also don't get a 5-minute break, but WCYD at the mercy of our players. And I'm just reading some other lad stuff right now, taking a look at what is this? Teddy, US Guam, and Bulljack's position rankings. That should be pretty interesting. Oh, my team is surprisingly low. I see. We'll have to have a talk about that. But back to the game a little bit. Oh no. I'm watching terrible memes, but at the end of the day, they don't end up going for that Tiny as the first pick for etW. Instead, we are seeing the Shadow Demon, an interesting pickup for their team. I think Shadow Demon, again, a very strong hero, something we were seeing picked up very consistently at the major. Unfortunately, not really seeing the reason why. Of course, Shadow Demon is a very strong hero by itself, but usually it's in response to something, that typically being a hero like the Abaddon or the Mirana. So definitely a swap up in strategies a little bit here, where Antimeta are trying out what I can only assume will be the safe lane Shadow Fiend. Of course, is still able to be played in that mid lane, but is definitely strutting its stuff a little bit in that safe lane as well. Same hero or very similar hero in regards to that Tiny, where you have that mix of both magic and physical damage, and your timings are just blisteringly fast. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Antimeta will actually be able to put this in their favor, as well as excited to see if this will go into the hands of Quran or if we'll see it move somewhere else. I also like that typical TN was able to get on a slightly more traditional 5 position. As much as I do like Hoodwink, I definitely think that that hero has seen its heyday and we've kind of moved past it. It definitely doesn't play as nicely into a lot of the current meta heroes right now, so I like that the Silencer will definitely feel a little bit more at home. But Gyrocopter, we'll talk about that a little bit. Back in it again. Can only imagine that Six Dog is going to play it. I didn't see how the first draft played out because I was too busy trying to get food in between games. But this also means that the gyrocopter could be flexible still. Not saying the Tiny in the first phase does mean that this gyrocopter could definitely be swapped between both the safe lane and the 3 position, as was on exhibit in the previous game. But that's where I wonder what kind of style Sasquatch will typically go for. When you do have first pick, it gets a little bit more awkward for you going into the second phase, and that's where a lot of your tricks are kind of out of your hand. It's definitely the second pick advantage. There's a big reason why a lot of pro teams are still valuing it very highly and more so than pick side. I think second priority is just simply better right now.
I believe
So why
every
not
team in
go for
NA
it?
Pro Series has been picking second pick with the exception of Infamous. I think every other team has chosen second pick recently.
Except for Infamous and Team Team. Team Team picked Radiant in their game, and
Oh,
I
team.
saw
Oh,
how that played out.
I should rephrase. Team select second when they have option to first and second, but they pick Radiant over everything else, including pick and set.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when they have a
It,
choice of pick, they will choose second pick.
Yeah, it's definitely like interesting to see because honestly, I don't think a lot of that stuff matters. There's some strategical stuff when it comes to outposts, but I think a lot of it is what jungle really your carry prefers. I think a lot of other stuff kind of falls by the wayside. I think Dota, at least pick side, has been more even than it's ever been. I think the differences between Radiant and Dire are really kind of not there anymore.
You know what's so fun about you, EG? You know what's nice about casting you? You make my job
Hmm?
easy. I like that.
Yeah.
See, everybody else. There's two camps. There's two camps people fall into. It's people who talk too much when not supposed to, and people who don't talk enough. And you're like literally in between it, where when you're supposed to talk, you literally say all the words. It's so easy. Then when you're not supposed to talk, you don't. It's perfect.
It's the cutoff, it's the simple beginning and stopping that has been culled and prepared over hundreds of hours of doing this fantastic job. Pepe laugh.
I was gonna say you're literally a professional commentator. So I guess it makes a bit of sense, but you're spoiling me. I'm gonna go back to like casting Artorias and
Oh
people like
no.
that. I mean, no flame for Artorias, but it's like Artorias like prodding a rock, like, "Hey, say words." It's like
Yeah, no.
you can make a meme out of it, right? Where I cast Team Fight for 4 minutes, and I'm like, whew. He's like, "Yeah," and then I start talking again. It's like, "All right, cool, thanks."
Yeah,
Give me
it
3
could
minutes.
definitely be a struggle when it comes to pinpointing a lot of the pace at which you want to cast, because there are definitely people who are just slinging a million words a minute, and then suddenly somebody has to pick it up, and then you're like, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to, I mean, you sound like an auctioneer almost once you get to that point, and then the juxtaposition between that and your analyst, it definitely gets a little bit funny sometimes, but it's definitely and will always be a pleasure to talk about Dota. I can never complain.
I was gonna say I'm definitely one of those sling a million words a minute type casters, but you know what I'm gonna be doing because there's a team fight happening, and then when it stops, I'm going to stop.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple. But
and that's
you
where
know,
I guess what we do have some picks to talk about. Pangolier
we
Io
do.
for one side, Invoker Void Spirit for the other. I think Antimeta are. I mean, they have three mid laners. This is quite the interesting pickup for them. Maybe we're going to see the 4 Void Spirit. Maybe we could see the 4 Invoker. We'll really have to wait until last pick here. But if there's anything they've accomplished with this draft, they have kept us guessing who is going to actually end up going to that mid lane wholeheartedly. It's definitely an interesting approach when you have last pick.
And it's not like they can't put silencer mid either, so they have like 3.5 mid laners. It's
Yeah,
they're
true.
gonna have a
True.
fifth mid laner, and it's gonna be probably the worst one. But they're gonna probably run like the fifth hero mid. They're gonna pick like an Earth Spirit last pick, and they'll Earth Spirit mid this watch. It's the sort of shit they're gonna do.
Yeah,
It's hard to
and
take their draft seriously when this is their draft. You know what I mean?
it definitely is, but I'm also a little bit intrigued what etW will decide to go for. When you pick up the Gyrocopter IO, it's hard to imagine that they're not going to play together, but pick order wise, it definitely feels like this might have been an afterthought when it comes to their heroes, as well as if it's Gyrocopter IO, then it's very simply going to be Shadow Demon Pangolier going up versus what initially I expected to be Silencer Shadow Fiend, but again, Antimatter are going to keep us guessing until we actually see that final pick for them. Or I think ETW now, they're either looking for a Hamingzy hero or they're looking for another 6-dog hero, depending on where we're going to see him lane. But
That's their
this
damage
is
hero.
very clearly a Hamingzy hero. Yep. Super simple, plays fantastically, ironically, really well versus both Void Spirit, Invoker, and Shadow Fiend. So somehow, despite having this last phase of bans, Mike gets what he wants.
You've gathered all 3 mid laners with 1 mid laner.
Yeah.
That's just I can't not freak out the laughter hearing that. It's like you have 3 mid laners to make them guess, be at the 1 mid laner counters. I guess SF's kind of good in the puck, but Jesus.
It's just no one really wants to do that on purpose. Even Void Spirit can like kind of fudge it, but in the long term, when it comes to actually breaking down those team fights, Puck loves playing versus Void, Invoker, and Shadow Fiend. It just means that Coil is going to result in a kill 9 times out of 10. And that's where anti-meta, they really have to decide, do we need an offlaner? Do we need a carry here? Are we missing another support? It really feels like their draft could go in any direction, even though it might not be the best direction, I think.
I'm ready to call no matter what happens this last pick, Radiant winning the draft. I don't care what the last pick is.
Yeah.
Radiant won this draft. They have literally
Honestly,
the best heroes in the game, and this is what the Dire have gotten.
I legitimately think best pick that Antimeta could go for right now is picking up the Lion. I think it's one of the few heroes that still plays very well versus the Puck. Either the Lion or the Nyx Assassin. I think if they went for either of those, they need a little bit more traditional lockdown on their side. They already have a 5 silencer, which is great, but once you get a few of those dispels, I think some nice hard stuns would definitely feel good considering how much damage the rest of your lineup can bring. But that's also where they're lacking a hero that could frontline. So there's a few problems, I think, with anti-meta's draft and why they're racking their brains a little bit here. Nyx or Lion would definitely be what I would be looking for, but instead we get a fourth mid laner. Let's go!
I know we've used the word juxtaposition like 15 times tonight, but it's just, you look at this, you juxtapose. You're analyzing so seriously, so intelligently. Like, oh yes, this is good, this is good. Let's pick a fucking Ember Spirit.
Let's fucking go.
I can't stop laughing.
I mean, and not just that, they've got what is this? Okay, so it's a mid Shadow Fiend. They've got a 4. Their off lane is going to be Ember Spirit Invoker, and they've got a safe lane Void Spirit. I can't even imagine that's the positions that I would go for. Why don't you just have a safe lane Ember Spirit in it? You know, I can't argue.
This is why they're 1 of the 6 easy. This is why they're 1 of the 6. These are their traps.
You know, I can't argue with it though. They're exactly what their namesake says that they are, but it's still a this is some wild shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see. I wonder if they're going to be able to. And I mean, how bad does etW look if they do lose to this? And there is something to be said, anti-meta, if they get to the late game, you know? They've got some really good late game heroes, but I'm worried about every other part of their game that might unironically look pretty bad. So we'll have to see. I think Beast 2.0 really has to run wild with this one. Otherwise, it's really hard for them to make plays with their heroes. It really does feel like it's going to be a little bit of a struggle here, especially because you're playing versus a save and heal lineup on etW. I'm a little bit scared for him. Also saw the pause actually happened in the middle of the draft there, so
That's
don't know what that was about.
That's penalizable in our rule set for BTS, by the way. It would
Oh
result
yeah,
in a level 2 draft penalty for next game, if you're curious. But this is not. This is lads.
playing the law right there.
I guess I'm actually an admin here too, but I don't have to actually do anything here, so. Yeah, this is you actually didn't mention to pick the 4th different mid laners kind of by Puck.
Yeah, even the Ember Spirit doesn't want to play versus Puck. I think the only thing that could maybe be bad for etW is if they look into a lot of these team fights and they just see all of these heroes they want to kill, they still have to pick and choose their targets. If they go from one hero to the next and they focus down people in a very succinct fashion, then I think they're playing their lineup perfectly. The bigger issue is when they start splitting their damage a little bit too much. I can definitely see them struggling to finish off a lot of these elusive heroes that anti-meta has, but I think it's going to be a fun game regardless.
Okay. I'm calmed down. I'm ready to cast some Dota normally. No more falling quite literally out of my chair at laughter. We're good to go. If you are just joining us, welcome to game number 2 of Earning the Wins, aka etW, on the Radiant, who won game 1, taking on Antimeta on the Dire, who lost game 1. My name is Badger, and I am joined by the 2-time Lads Champ, professional BTS caster, and man of many titles, ET, and hopefully we're in for a good game of Dota 2.
Yeah, I can only imagine it's going to be pretty interesting, as well as Beast 2.0, starting with some very intriguing items. I haven't seen a clarity on a mid laner in a very long time, and it scares me a little bit to see that. I also see a lot of Quelling Blades on these spirits, so I'm very intrigued to see what this actual setup is going to be. But at the end of the day, 4 mid laners versus 1 carry. We'll see if Sasquatch is able to pull this out, because that is the name of the game right now. Everyone is built around setting up this Gyrocopter for the best game he can possibly have, and it's really up to him to execute, because he is going to be your alma mater on etW. He kills Roche, he kills the buildings, he gets the Aegis, he does really everything for your squad.
Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know, Ember farming off lane with an Invoker. I guess that's not terrible, but then you look at this Void Spirit Silence lane, and I don't know what they do.
Yeah, and with as wild as their picks were, I don't even really remember what
It's
happened
first blood
with the
time.
bans,
The Dire
but
Side Try camp. Remnant is there.
yeah.
The raises are there. M-John should go down, will go down. First blood is drawn by Beast 2.0. So it is good news. It will be, never mind, Hamsy grabs 0 bounty runes. So it's 3 bounty runes for first blood. Relatively even trade, but SF is a very happy man right now.
Yes, he is. Gets that bottle even faster. You already see he's only going to be another 150 gold away from it, and once he has it, it's just going to feel pretty simple for him. But yeah, everybody TPing to lanes now. Don't want to see anyone starting off on too bad of a foot. Always want to be there for this first wave.
It's almost too good of a block there from Sasquatch and M-John, but it's fine. It's right past that line of tower range, so all is well there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Sasquatch actually got the Rocket Barrage level 1. Homing Missile is just a better spell, so it's intriguing that he goes for it. Like, if he just put a Homing Missile on the Invoker there, it would do a lot more damage and you wouldn't have to walk out of the wave, but I guess instead valuing some of the aggression that this IO is going to allow him to create. But we'll have to see if he gets any more points in it. I can't imagine it's going to be more than level 1, but we'll have to see. I've definitely been surprised before.
We're seeing Six Dog, who's actually farming the offlane on the Shadow Demon, taking a lot of damage top lane, but he's alive for now. Now, Dark actually has gone and has that shield crash, but he's taking a lot of Arcane Curse damage. Now, top lane, somebody should eventually die, or perhaps not. Simply, all 4 heroes quite low right now. There's 2 stacks of poison there onto the Void Spirit and to the Silencer, but in the very end, everyone lives for now. Oh, good. Oh no, bad coordination there from the Radiant. They disrupt as Dark was using that swashbuckle, so Koran remains alive.
Yeah, in addition to that, both typical Tian and Karan starting with sticks, meaning they have just that many more resources to deal with. Nice deny out there from Six Dog, but that is going to be the major problem, where now you need to wait for the couriers to come on the ETW side. Your aggression really dies here, but fortunately for them, bottom lane should be a wash. There isn't much that really the Ember Spirit or the Invoker can do to help each other out. Maybe throw out a Tornado once you get a few more levels on that Invoker, but it is going to feel like this Gyrocopter has a very free time down here.
Yeah, we saw just a minute ago how futile it is, where it's Sasquatch and M-John simply ran at the Invoker, and Ember had quite literally enough to provide there. Meanwhile, top lane, 6 Dog being run at, he is self-disrupted. He's taking a lot of damage, and he will eventually... No, he still will die here. He tried to juke with the illusions, it did not matter. Now in comes Dark, who's taking a lot of damage as well, but still has shield crash and a stick. So it's some fascinating Dota going on right now.
Oh, okay. Doesn't get the Spirit either. Honestly, really close. And Dark hasn't played Dota in, I think, around 9 days, so there's definitely going to be a little bit of a struggle bus, but Six Dog almost got the juke there. He had only one more choice. If he has a stick, then maybe he survives there, and I think finally getting a stick on the Shadow Demon is going to be incredibly important, as well as bringing one over for his ally. If they can keep this lane back, it does become almost impossible for Karan to actually approach here, and that's where we'll probably see typical Tian go for that small camp pool pretty soon. Otherwise, this is going to be a lot of free levels that both Six Dog and Dark are able to obtain.
This is a really fascinating top lane, in that I feel like once again it's a lot of unforced errors. Obviously, the disruption plus Swapfuckle play, I actually thought it was a great play initially. I thought it was a Dire's high disruption. It was so perfect for Dire. But then I forgot, Shadow Demon's on Radiance.
Yeah, and unfortunately it looks like typical TN is also getting the walk back, and this is again a problem with having the wave this far up. The only problem with this Dire lane is, unfortunately, you don't really have the best synergy. It really does feel like they're just two incredibly strong separate heroes, as opposed to heroes that can really play off of each other's strengths, but that's also where your spam is very obnoxious. Karan has to be very mindful when it comes to how many stacks he allows to get cast on him, but that's also where typical TN has those nice little plays where as soon as there's 3 or 4 stacks on Karan, you put the Arcane Curse out onto Six Dog, and then he doesn't feel comfortable enough going for that last stack every single time. Just the damage coming from Silencer.
Ooh, we see the Water Rune get denied by the Invoker. Hamding needed that minute for Water Rune and will not have it. And now Beast 2.0 is actually running at the puck. Meanwhile, top lane, the man fighting continues. There's poisons being thrown out on the 2. The banishment is there onto the Silencer. Silencer should go down here. It's 3 stacks now. Needs 1 more for the kill, I believe. Actually, doesn't even need it. We'll have it anyways. Down goes typical TN on that Silencer.
Yeah, it's super easy. Really not much to that play. They just get to kill the Silencer, who was already very low on mana. I'm surprised he hasn't been sending out some more regen. It really has just put him on the back foot, and it means that Karan is under even more pressure. At least now you do get that easy reset. You get to bring some supplies over to your Void Spirit, but other than that, it does feel like, again, ETW are getting what they want out of lanes, but bottom.
Tornado is there onto the Io. They are running on in, and down goes the Io now. Gyrocopter will turn to put some damage onto the Ember Spirit, but it will not be enough for a kill. Back to top lane, once again, the poison. Never mind, they missed the poison. Now, mid lane, the races are there, but I think Hamding phase shift dodged one of them, so he remains alive for now.
Yeah, and that really is the biggest question for ETW. When do you want to get Mike involved? Will he play a more farm-oriented style, or do we see him right out of the gates go for those level 6 plays? In the next minute or so, we'll probably see his decision, and I'm also intrigued to see if ETW will make the rotation out for these lanes, or for these power runes. If Beast 2W can keep his bottle filled and keep that power rune out of the puck's hand, it will really make Mike less inclined to actually go for those big rotations. And already seeing Rice Cooker walk over and Dark, we see the importance on these runes. Now it's just the luck of the draw at this point.
Who gets the rune? Is it Dire or is it Radiance? Both mid laners run forward, and it will be top lane going to Dark. So both mid laners, somewhat sad, but I'm sure Shadow Fiend a lot more sad.
Yeah, and that's where Mike does actually need to rotate out of his lane eventually here. Shadow Fiend will eventually start to eclipse him in the ability to push out these waves. Very simply, he does just hand the wave over to the Pango whenever that rotation does come in, but you want to start getting out on the map.
Tornado is there on to bot lane.
Yeah.
Is from Sasquatch. They're running on and looking for the Rice Cooker Invoker. Rocket Barrage once again is there. Invoker is trying to run. Has Ghostwalk invoked, but well, lacks the mana. Chains, though, are there onto both. Sasquatch is very low. Rocket Barrage is there. Who will die first, Ember or Gyro? Ember is being kited around now. Has no spells. Down goes Ember Spirit. Double kill for Ember. Meanwhile, top lane, they're running a Silencer. Dark has gone in. Down goes typical TM straight, though, for the kill of Dark. So now it's 4 kills across the map. 3 for the side of the Radiant, though. And now 6-lock man fighting with Karan. 6-lock has 3 stacks of poison and the wand charge.
Oh, no.
Karan has no wands. 4 stacks of poisons. Now they are 6-lock low. But no, it's 6-lock goes down. Karan stays alive and barely will die, I think? Live? I don't know.
No, he's fine.
Now
Not
mid
able to get
lane,
that
it's
fit stack,
Hamding
but
going
yeah.
on the Shadow Fiend. Coil is committed. In comes Dark. On rotation, Chill Crash is there. Flash Buckle is there. The Winning Rift is there. And down goes Beast 2.0. It's an absolute madhouse.
Yeah, I am really surprised that in the top lane we didn't see 6-Dog Kite a little bit more there. I think if he gets that 5th stack, you get that multiplier, and then maybe you have enough damage there. It was still a rough kill just because you already did have that raindrop, and Karan was definitely ready to tank it up again. But that's where the big concern is, that there is this puck in this game, this monster hero who will create these very easy rotations for his team. Simply, it's Dark TPing mid, fills Mike's bottle, and then gets the kill on the Shadow Fiend. They want to do that inside.
It is 6-Dog, top lane,
yeah.
dying a Shadow Demon. Karan has 6, stepped on and had Remnant, and the damage was simply too much. Back to our good old friends, the runes. Tornado is there on the Dark, but the rune is just top lane anyways. It's a big rune for
it's
SF.
Unfortunate.
Now it's Dark, man fighting
it.
with Red Cooker, but the Swashbuckle actually is missed. Now SF, who has boots, is running at Dark. Ember is there as well, so Chains, Cold Feet. Now used into the raises. Down goes Dark there on that Pangolier, but Dire commit a lot to get it.
Yeah, it's fortunate. It's a big rotation. I think, honestly, we're getting into this situation where, again, Sasquatch is just fine farming up while everyone is dying around him at his feet. And it's the perfect situation that ETW want to create. I think Mike can definitely get a little bit more active on his puck. There's a lot of opportunities that his teammates are creating for him, and I don't think he's necessarily taking enough right now. I think they also need to get a little bit more vision down on the ETW side. They are playing a little bit blind here, and again, knowing what runes are actually available and what are taken by your opponents is so incredibly important this time around. A haste rune could spell disaster for either side. It's just so easy to make those kill rotations for either of these lanes.
I'm actually really excited to see what happens in this next day time. So we're really starting to see these teams get ready to fight. We're seeing rotations from both teams now. We're seeing one top lane by the side of the Radiant, and Shadow Demon and Pangolier ready to go. But actually, Dark is not 6 yet. He needs that 6. The Tome and the 10 should do it. Hamzy actually rotate up this dire ward. It is good enough. It sees, well, 3 heroes.
Yeah, it sees absolutely everyone. Unfortunately, they are going to see the puck in a moment here, and that's where Quran should hard back off here. They don't have the global for another level, so typical TN cannot help his teammates out, but they're playing with fire right here. This is really risky.
There, onto Quran. They will go in with Demonic Burst as well. Now in comes Dark. Tornado will actually stun on the 2. Dark, though, shield crashes in further, but now Ember Spirit has TP'd and wants to engage on Dark. Dark will TP. It is cancelled with the chains of Leave Inbreds down goes Dark on the Pangolier, and well, that's what it do for you.
Yeah, it definitely is a who's baiting who situation.
Wait,
and
never mind. I thought they were going to go again top lane, but they actually got away. They are going to change 6 up under that tower. The Cold Snap and the Urn are there, so the tower dive it will continue with 3. 6 log will eventually go down. He now goes down. So that's another kill. Now 9 kills for the side of the Dire. So a 1.5 kill per minute game once again.
Yeah, it's just an absolute wild game right now. And now Sasquatch, unfortunately, is able to farm all of these stacks where there really isn't any contestation coming out from his opponents. But it really was a who's baiting who situation in the top lane. Of course, you don't lose too many heroes there. You just lose the supports and the off lane. But that's where, as long as Mike is alive, it does feel like he's going to be able to recover in this game. But still, it's a pretty missed opportunity from him. Kron should be fine as well. Has the dissimulate.
Yeah, he has buttons to press. He has pressed them, and he will get away easily. Dissimulate into that astral step. Step probably not even needed, but it was used regardless.
And now, top lane. They should really just flood heroes up here. Again, once you take away this Tier 1 tower top, it allows so much more space over to the rest of your allies, as well as you just get the farm. That's where Antimeta are definitely setting up for a little bit of defense here, but you see what this Void Spirit is actually building?
Let's go find... What? Fight lane, top lane, the fight is there. Ember is balled in. The chains are there onto the IO. They're going to kill M-John. Now Dark is rolling. Typical TN goes down. It's the trade though for M-John. The roll once again is stunning there on it too. It's Karan. The Ember is on the run. Tornado is there on the Sasquatch. Sasquatch is low, but can they kill him? Call down is there. In comes Blink. No. Hammuzi silences, cancels. The Sasquatch still low. Goes down. Straight for Karan. Now Hammuzi. Orbs. Looks for more. Requiem is finally finished, but it's typical for Dark. And now Radiances are there. Down goes Hammuzi. Dark is on the run. Has shield crash in 3. And will attempt the juke, and no, he dies to the raise and the Sleight of His combination. So it's a 4 for 3, I believe, straight. Absolutely wild stuff. And what is Void Spirit building? What is that?
That's a Battle Fury, son. That's a Battle Fury.
I was looking at that with this like, obviously I don't have a cam on so you can't see it, but I had this perplexed sort of look on my face. Like, what is this man buying? And the fight happens, like, damn, I must hold that thought. I go back to it, and... Why is he buying a Battle Fury?
You know, it's hard to say. Maybe it just plays to Karan's specific carry style, but it was definitely it's definitely an interesting choice, one that I definitely know he's going to regret. But I think very appropriately, Sasquatch asking and posing the question, why is 6-Dog bottom? He definitely could have been used in that top fight. I definitely think that with his involvement there, we probably would have seen a complete reversal, especially after that SF got immediately silenced by Hamingzy whenever he ended up blinking in. But again, Shadow Demon sticking in the bot lane. It's the same exact story that we saw in Game 1, where 6-Dog is going to prioritize his own game over his allies, and he's definitely going to get very farmed. But that's where the cost is definitely going to be very apparent. And you see how scared everyone is playing in the sidelines right now. No one is showing except for the Shadow Fiend on the map. So there's a lot of hesitancy, and you got to be scared, especially with the global available. Typical TN could definitely catch heroes off guard like the Puck and the Pango.
Well, they ran a Hammuzi briefly, but decided, you know what, it's a puck, he's too hard to kill. They're now perhaps running at that bottom tier 1 tower. They have 4 heroes in the area, but 6-Dog is defending. He's putting out the poisons. Tornado will hit the 6-Dog, and now in comes the roll from the right side from Dark. He engages into the fight, and it's okay as well. Radiant certainly will have the numbers now, but Karan is on the run. He's once again stunned by Dark. Chains are there onto the IO in the Gyro, but Dark is rolling onto the Ember Spirit. Ember is on the run. He's now stunned by the Gyro Rocket into the coil of Hammuzi, into the Global Silencer from the Dire, but Ember remains dead. Now turns to Silencer, who used his Global Silence. The relocate is now over. Io and Gyro are gone, but typical TN also is gone now for a short trip to the grave. Radiance pick up 2 and lose nothing but cooldowns.
Yeah, I really think that they needed to bring slightly more heroes there. I think if they were going to commit the global in such a fashion, they needed to be a little bit more decisive, and unfortunately for them, they weren't able to really find any rebuttal kill. And that's where they should flood TP's top here. They should look to catch their opponents off guard, but you already see the movement from Dark here. They're trying to play around. There's no way you kill Karan. Yeah, this is a crazy
Requiem,
dive.
but can they get Sasquatch? He's feared right now into the Resonant Pulse, into the right click. Sasquatch is low and will now go down. They now turn to Mjon, who is tethered to his melee creep. But is that melee creep enough to escape his career? May also get one shot here.
He's very slow.
Yeah, he is far too slow. He's trying to juke, but the raise and the Sleight of Fist is too much. It's now 2 kills going to the Dire this time, and much like last game, we see one team get kills, other team, they reverse it.
Yeah. And I think that's where they do need to relax a little bit on the etW side. Your opponents are actually matching you in a lot of these farm categories, pulling ahead in some cases, and your strongest heroes on the map are not really playing with everyone else. We're yet to see a relocate play where we're getting the puck and the Pango set up in the side lanes, and
Karan's in danger mid lane, blink foil there, and they probably committed a bit too much, but you know what? You might as well kill the enemy carry while he's still farming his Beef Fury. The roll is still going, though, in the river. Dire are nearby. Sprinkle is there, but Dire have not locked down Dark afterwards. And now it's Mjon, who's joined his team. Handmizzy orbs through the purges there onto the Ember Spirit. Now Sasquatch runs forward. EMP and the Arcane Curse are there onto the Gyro, but they're running a typical TN. Typical TN will go down. Now with Ember. Man fighting Puck. Ember, Remnants away. Call down is there. It slows up Shadowfiend. Shadowfiend should be in severe danger. Orb comes through, misses, but they know Rias. Holy Missile is there. SF will eventually go down, and now they perhaps move to the Ember Spirit, who's under that tower. Six Dog is chasing him. He's putting in the poisons. Will Sleight of Fist, but now Dark. Will that fuck buckle? No, not in time. Ember gets away. But now they move the right clicker on that Invoker, who has popped the Ghost Walk. There is sentries, but no dust. In the end,
that
Radiant
was
win that
incredibly
one.
close. Yeah, they just walk over their opponents. They get to find out where the SF is playing. You have to be a little bit more scared, especially until you have that BKB on the Shadow Fiend, and I'm very surprised that we don't see Beast 2.0 actually going for the Yule Scepter that every SF, every mid SF has gone for the past who knows how long. So he doesn't have that opportunity available to them. He's entirely reliant on his allies. But
Dire popped the global. He wanted to find
Yeah.
Sasquatch. Multiple spirits are in the vicinity. The chains are now there. Sasquatch is low. Mjon is low. Quillo is there. Multiple spirits as well. SF blinks in. Requiem looks for Hamizzy. Hamizzy will be silenced. Now phase shifts in time. Dark is rolling. Karan goes down. So it's only 1 kill so far. It's ready though for Hamizzy. So now it's Void Spirit for Puck.
do they bring him back? That's the question. They brought him back.
They do. Sasquatch is in. He's man fighting now. Mjon will go down immediately. Sasquatch tries to TP, and they are no. He TPs away in time.
Okay.
There's no way they
There
didn't have a
you go.
stone there, right? There's no way.
I mean, that is the drawback, and I was a little hesitant to say it before, but TPing out in this game is so simple for them. As soon as you commit the Remnant, and it's really just Remnant, Chains, and Cold Snap. Everything else, it feels like you can TP out of all of these situations, and it makes the lack of a Yule Scepter on the Shadow Fiend even more jarring, because situations like that happen. Still, what a good relocate coming out from Johnny there. If he doesn't hit that relocate, that Requiem lands onto both of them after the disruption. It was very well timed from Beast 2.0, but unfortunately, just too good from Johnny with that Wisp. And I think bringing him back is definitely a huge risky play, as well as Six Dog was already peeling off of the fight, so it didn't feel like he really had any interest in engaging any longer too. But they try it. They didn't get any kills after the fact, but you don't lose Gyro, so it doesn't end up mattering too much.
To circle back a little bit, it's fair you didn't bring up the lack of stuns, because you were discussing the other, 11 or so fatal flaws of this Dire side draft. You couldn't discuss the lack of stuns thing.
Yeah.
There's too many other problems to discuss.
Yeah, there are quite a few problems, but at least their KDAs really aren't that bad, especially the Ember Spirit and the Invoker. I mean, they're making rotations. There are a lot of plays that this offlane has somehow been able to do, but aside from that, I'm just scared for them, where once Sasquatch has this Aghanim Scepter, I do think they're just gonna kind of out-farm you, and then once you're playing versus a Dragon Comper with 20k net worth, it does feel like those objectives are going to come very naturally for them.
Well, Radiant once again begin to split the TP 6 Dog bottom lane to perhaps harass Karan. Meanwhile, top lane is Sasquatch and Mjon doing some damage, but they actually say, you know what, 6 Dog is gone, we don't see Karan, let's leave.
Oh,
At the very end, it's more farming.
Look at Beast 2.0. He also has this crazy item build. By the way, Battle Fury did finish up on the Void Spear, but Arcane Blink naked on the Shadow Fiend. That is
That's
also pretty crazy, but I guess you're gonna go for it regardless, and maybe that will allow you to get a Requiem of Souls off that isn't going to require very much setup, but at the same time, I also think you're an absolute psycho, Beast 2.0. That is like crazy stuff right there.
good. I guess Beast 1.0 is kind of a crazy offlaner with a lot of aggression, but this is just way more aggressive than that even. We're seeing Karam though will find 6-Dog in the Radiant side jungle, though he's now disrupted. Now Dark rolls in, but he's actually stuck on the ward spots. Once again, run a Karan, run a Slicker, Relocate comes in, 6-Dog may die, but certainly will avenge him. Global Silence is now there, so the Relocate is cancelled, but it's now 3 fighting Karan. Karan has no step for 9 seconds, Coil is there, and well, the inevitable will arrive quite soon. Demonic Purge is there, Stockbuckle is there, the kill goes to 6-Dog there on that Shadow Demon.
Yeah, it's very simple for them to make that play. You didn't even dislocate the gyro combo very much. You're just already in the jungle, back to farming. And now with Ags completed, this is the strongest duo you could possibly have here. Mech completed on the Wisp, already having the Ags on the gyrocopter. If he goes for a Satanic or a crit next, really there's no bad avenue for Sasquatch to go for at this point, as well as getting lucky with the Grove Bow pickup. Grove Bow, a neutral item that I think definitely needs to get looked at a little bit more. Think giving heroes something as niche as attack range is definitely something that is a little bit too strong, in the same vein of a lot of other neutral items that have already been removed from the game.
Top lane, Dark is being gone on, but can they get him? The chains are there. Dark Sasquatch is in place after Blink.
Here we go.
On a 3.
Arcane Rune.
Sasquatch goes down immediately.
The Blink, the Arcane Blink.
That's massive damage. The Arcane Blink is paid off.
Will it continue to pay off is the real question. But yeah, they were not ready for that as well. And that play all is able to happen because Antimeta get this word on the high ground. This counts out everything. They know who's coming, the order that they're coming in. And the easiest saving play versus that Requiem is very simply getting the disruption out. But again, that's where 6-Dog is also in his own little world a little bit here. Still focusing on his own farm at a little bit of the detriment of his allies. But he's incredibly farmed. What can I say?
Seeing Dire look for the engagement, they try to find Dark Blink delay in time. Meanwhile, though, 6-Dog is the target. It's a step in Remnant there on a Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon will go down. Radiant, though, actually recoiled there on the Bull Spirits. We're seeing Dark roll looking for the Shadow Fiends. Now the coil is broken on the Ember. Now Sasquatch's respawn. Call down is there, but actually hits onto only Karan. Now it's Puck who's the focus. Puck goes down. Back to SF, dies to Dark and Sasquatch. Now back to Io again. He's being ran at by 3, correction, 4 heroes. John tears the Sasquatch.
Oh no, you don't want to do this.
But Radiant are trying to fight. Dire taking so much damage. Flat cannon. It's just so much, but can they live? Glow sounds popped. Typical TN dead. John dead. Ember using. Can he live? He's trying. No, he cannot live. He goes down. Typical for Sasquatch. And now Radiance. I think they see Invoker. They're pinging him. They do see Invoker. Sockbuckle, shield crash. It's an ultra kill for Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And the all chats. Oh no.
Oh. I mean, that is the worst. Okay. I mean, it works. Well,
too based, my friend.
That is pretty based. Dark actually just got murdered. He got straight up murder. This guy's fucking good. But yeah, unfortunately for them, they did just give an ultra kill over to a gyrocopter, and that's pretty terrible. But aside from that, I mean, flashy play. They get something for the support invoker. And it's really frustrating for Antimeta because they make this push again where they get the high ground ward, they win the vision battle, but the numbers are just not in their favor. Without the Shadow Fiend actually finding the burst onto the gyrocopter, you saw those 4 heroes walking up that hill, chasing the Wisp, and then getting flacked and torn apart, and it's only going to get worse for them as this game progresses, and that's really the biggest problem. They have to deal with this gyrocopter, and if they don't, every team fight is going to go in that exact fashion.
Yeah, I mean, Dire, it's an uphill battle, but also the burden execution is on them, which is not a good combination to have, where both A, you're losing the game slowly, and B, you have to do something. It means, hey, desperation starts to set in, dread starts to set in, and I just don't know what they can really realistically do other than just run at the enemy and hope you win fights.
Yeah, and that's where they are trying to finish up some of these supplemental items. I think the Invoker and the Ember Spirit both going for those soft stuns is incredibly important, as well as taking some of the stress off of your lineup. But that's where we're also waiting for this BKB to be finished up by the Shadow Fiend. Once he gets it, he can actually go for that Blink Requiem play and not worry about the coil or the silence or the disruption coming out from ETW, where ETW definitely need to play more of a defensive game. That's also where Sasquatch is not going for a BKB, and you're not going for a BKB versus probably the best BKB game I could possibly imagine, but that might be a honor among themes or thieves thing where you don't want to shut out your opponents entirely here, but
Little Silence is
okay.
there. Dire engaging the raiding tri camp. Blink Requiem is there. That's a lot of damage to Hamzy. Hamzy will go down to the raises there from the Beast 2.0. Now he will buy back. 6-log is the target. 6-log goes down. Now back to the tri camp once again. Sasquatch is being tornado. He's doing flat cam damage. Down goes typical TN. They move, looking for more. The Beast is a target. Coil is there onto one. It's now broken. Can they kill him? Yes, they will. But they need more. Move to Invoker. He'll go down as well. Triple kill once again for Sasquatch. It's a 3-for-2 trade so far. The buyback there from Hamzy. Now it's Ember, who chains in Remnants away. They may chase, actually they know he's there. The missile's on the way. He will not dodge it correctly either. Now in comes Dark and Hamzy. Both join Ember in the high ground. It's 3 heroes, man fighting. Chains are there out of 2, but Ember will eventually go down here, it appears. He may take Dark with him, but he will now stick. Shield Crash is there. Ember will now at long last go down, and Radiance immediately walk into the Roshan pit. Even Sasquatch all chat. He never all chats.
Yeah, level 25 Ember Spirit Artesia'd himself. Yeah. I mean, you kind of deserved it, I'll be entirely honest. I wonder if there's anyone who actually... Oh, Aegis?
How is he all... Your team is 1-7 in like 10 minutes. You need to be 1-7. You can't all chat like this when your team is 1-7. Come on now.
Ooh. It's all coming from the same guy too, so it's like...
He didn't do his research. Dark doesn't play Dota. 6-Dog doesn't play Dota. Sasquatch literally doesn't play Dota either. Like, these guys don't play Dota.
You know, this is something that they're going to look at and they're going to laugh. They're going to forget these guys in maybe 2 or 3 days. It's still hilarious to see it play out like this, though. And I don't know. It's hard to say, because at the same time, I think ETW just have a good draft. They're just playing and having fun, and they just picked unironically terrible heroes on the anti-meta side. So I'm not picking sides here, but there's definitely someone who looks a little bit worse than the other, just off the bat.
Like, you're trying to not be biased. I call it you're like pretending to not be biased, even though you're admitting you're biased. It's hard not to like just laugh at the man who all chats constantly and gets his ass owned.
Yeah, especially when you look at who's all chatting. It's not even MJohn. MJohn's been the most, polite. Maybe there's been a few here and there, but definitely provokes all chat coming from him. MJohn's the real trooper here. He's done a complete 180. He's definitely a very positive Dota player now, very similar to CLQ in that regard. But he's definitely done a 180. But I also think that they're just probably going to win this game at their own discretion. Sasquatch has really gone for some bad items here in the nicest way possible. Don't really see why he has a Mjolnir. Of course,
I like
not the
Mjolnir.
worst
Mjolnir's
item,
fun.
but
You get the Mjolnir buff. It's cool. I like it. I don't think it's good, but I like it.
I mean, it's cool. It makes some neat noises, It's that audio visual feel. Maybe you feel a little bit cooler whenever you're static lightning bolt. But that landed.
Ember did not dodge the rocket. Global Silence is there. Now Ember loses himself. In comes the Requiem, but down goes Silencer. Radiant remain alive for now. Puck and Gyro are both full. Puck goes down, and now MJohn heals Sasquatch. Karan has engaged, looking for Sasquatch. Aegis is popped. They go down to MJohn. MJohn is half HP, trying to survive. They actually missed the chains there, but MJohn should now go down. Now Sasquatch man fights, does so much damage. Meanwhile, it's Dark, keeping Shadowfiend away from the fight. MJohn goes down, but so does the Invoker. Sasquatch searches for more. Can he get on top of them? Yes, he can, though. Karan steps away. They're now under that tier 2 tower, but now Dark has arrived. Southbuckle is there. We actually is out of mana on the Pangolier. Remnant is there onto the Pangolier now. Ember TP's away, and Radiant may... They're going to die this base, aren't they? No, they're not. Never mind.
They can't do it. It's just a little bit too elusive of a hero here, but honestly, a pretty poorly done fight, I think, by... Was that a Spider Legs from Antimeta? I'll check that.
Yeah, it seems like it. I'm looking at the dire items right now, and no, actually, it was dire side.
Well, one more thing to mark against their card, but I really do think that was a fight that, again, they did a really good job of cutting out. I think Mike hasn't really been able to flex his muscles on his puck
Well,
very much
Dark may
here.
be in danger. He'll use himself down. Sasquatch is the damage. Down goes Silencer, and Sunshine is there. And Dark will go down. Rectum damage is enough. Now turn to
Oh, but now
Sasquatch. Can they
Sasquatch.
get him? He's slow. Pop
Satanic?
Satanic. But no, he's
Oh,
disrupted
no.
during Satanic. That's bad. Sasquatch tries to kneel himself. M-John is there next to him now. Engages. But Dire needs a bit more damage. Raises are there. M-John relocates. Is it enough? Yes, it is. Karan is dead. Now Six Dog turns to the Avimbrez. Has enough damage. Down goes Amber Spirit soon. Needs one more stack, I believe. No, he popped 6 there on the Amber Spirit. Down goes Six Dog. And Radiant will return, it appears.
Oh, and he actually
Never mind.
left Johnny.
Just
He
M-John
could have
this
just
time.
kept it, but still, I think they don't want to take the risk there in case they could have possibly had another Requiem coming back, or just getting tornadoed on entry is pretty obnoxious. But again, that is what I believe to be a 4v5 fight because of how early the puck is going down in these engagements, as well as the Pango. Unfortunately, they're not really able to claim their own spot just yet on etW. It's definitely some sloppy play from them. If they get that vision advantage, it's so much simpler for them to make those easy rolling thunder coil plays. At least Hamingsy now has a BKB, so he's not going to need to be quite as worried about that fear coming in from the Shadow Fiend, but I'm also really surprised he just very naturally didn't go for the Yule Scepter. If he has Yules, he doesn't need to worry about global. He has that secondary save. I'm surprised he hasn't gone for 2 types of dispels. Really across the board, there isn't that much defensive items built up just yet from etW. I think once Sasquatch gets this BKB, though, the game is really going to look all but impossible for Antimeta unless they get some crazy fight where they force out the BKB very early, kite away with their spirits, and then look for the re-engage. Aside from that type of fight, though, they really can't win a straight-up 5v5.
Well, they engage on Hamingsy, but Hamingsy actually has a BKB now pop. Now Dark rolls in looking for the Invoker. Invoker's missile on the way called out is there. Invoker certainly will be dead. Goes to Hamingsy via that illusory orb, but now Hamingsy dives the tower. Has Coil still use it onto the Silencer. Goal Silence is pop. Can they get some kills? Hamingsy blinked out some right clicks, and now they turn to Silencer once again. Silencer will go down very soon. Hamingsy may join him. So Hamingsy goes down actually. Actually, Silencer is still alive. Now the Blink Requiem is there. Fury, M-John, and Sasquatch. M-John is now completely alone and silenced and now dead. Sasquatch TPs. But no, the chains are there in time. Now they know the big target is that gyrocopter. It's a 3v5 right now in favor of the Dire. But in comes Dark, disrupts, soft buckles, kills Silencer. They now use up the Pangolier, but Radiant want to engage once again. Silencer has blood back. Missile is there onto Karan, and Sasquatch doing so much damage. Karan assimilates, steps away, stays alive, and now Dark is the one who's disrupted by Six Dog. Man's alive, 4 now, missiles on the way, I believe, to Silencer. And now Sasquatch wants to get more, but he's slow. But the cold feet. Sorry, the Coast Lock cold debuff. I should say, dear God. What's that debuff called? The Invoker debuff. Just Ghost Lock.
He's just ghost walking him. He's just ghost walking him. That's all there is to it. But that's still incredibly funny, as well as Six Dog placing the sentry after the fact. They knew exactly what he was doing, but he just wasn't able to get punished either. But still, there is some funny, scrappy fights going on. That was a buyback on the Silencer, which did make things a little bit scarier for etW. But at the end of the day, you just lost the Wisp and the puck. Again, I think Mike is casting his defensive tool a little bit too early in these engagements. Of course, you don't want to get caught out by that Aether Remnant in the mid lane, but you need to save something to get yourself out of here. I think the coolest thing that actually ended up going down in that fight is we saw Six Dog actually able to cast the Demonic Purge on his Gyrocopter, and it was definitely very scary and something that the Gyro didn't have to worry about anything at that point. He was just walking forward, taking Searing Chains, taking Aether Remnants, just walking through all of the stuns on the anti-meta side. So just, again, another tool that is very potent that etW get to work with and something that they're actually using, which is very fun to see.
It's one of those things, too, where because he has both the Aghanim Scepter and the Aghanim Shard, he can just chuck one on Sasquatch and also chuck it on the enemy still. He doesn't have to necessarily commit his entire ultimate to saving Sasquatch. He can just do both.
Yeah, exactly. And I do wonder if now Six Dog is going to change up his talents, but now just got the demonic purge damage. I've seen some shadow demons before when they don't feel like they're having the best game, go for the soul catcher, or rather the movement speed, just because positioning is crucial on that hero. I'm very surprised we actually don't see a blink dagger on Six Dog just yet, especially considering his previous game. But
Once the fight breaks
Karan,
out top lane, Karan engages heavily, uses both steps, I believe, and now in comes relocate, in comes global silence. SF has BKB'd. And Dire actually cut it around for it now, but now Ember is stunned by the roll of Dark. He will turn back in once again stunned there onto the Ember Spear, but the damage is a little bit lacking. Coil, though, is there onto the Evoker and the SF. Now SF, Blink, Requiem's in, Redsucker goes down, but straight though for Sasquatch. Beyond Godlike Spree is gone, and joining the grave is Six Dog and Dark. Dire, at long last, heavily win a team fight. Hammingsy is on the run, can he escape? Yes, he will, but still, Dire. It is a 3-for-1 fight win, a 4K gold delta obtained.
yeah, and more importantly, Roshan is going to be respawning in 5 seconds here. It's going to be up to Antimeta to actually scout it out. Are they capable of taking it is a different question. Again, you've got, I think, at least one too many spirits to make it the easiest time for you, but that's the one beautiful thing about Shadow Fiend is you can definitely just stack up the raises constantly, and then this Roshan could very well go in your favor. Watching Karan hit this Rosh is definitely a little bit sad, though. This is going to be a long path, at least until Beast comes over.
I've been drawing the
Arrows
to help them over there, and they appear to have... Okay, he's saying the words instead. But they did it. They have listened to my arrows. They're in the Roshan pit. They're already got it down to half HP, and it should be free.
Yeah, and a play that, unfortunately, etW just have to give up. I think the Aegis is incredibly important for the Drow to actually break the base and march over to the high ground, but that's where you buy out for a BKB and you don't cast it. I think if Sasquatch simply casts his buttons there, that fight looks very differently for etW, but that one little misplay on such an important target does mean that they can't really do anything about that, and we are getting towards those later stages of the game. It's crazy, we're 35 minutes already, but we are finally seeing, especially the spirits, start to gain some real speed in both levels and items, and that is something that etW, who again are very dead set in making this Gyrocopter the one hero that can actually do things, it's going to be very scary, where Antimeta can definitely be a lot more split up and a lot more independent in their playstyle.
You mentioned earlier how you like to see Six Dog buy a Blink Dagger, and about a minute later, Six Dog has a Blink Dagger, and it's already breaking the ankles of Karan in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and it just means that you don't have to worry about positioning on a hero that positioning is crucial on. I would also love to see him get a BKB, but of course, BKBs are cheating.
They're a rare
Just
commodity
cheating.
in this game. You know, you see, well, Yules and BKB both not allowed in this game pretty much. You can choose one or the other. You can't choose both.
Yeah, and that's also where I think I'm still waiting for something from Hammingsy, whether or not we see him go back for some more right-click oriented items. Unfortunately, he went for the phase, or didn't go for the phase shift attack, so the best thing for him is actually to go for either the Kai Sanj or something like the Dagon, but still, I'm a little bit sad. He's definitely been relegated on his team. It definitely feels like there are more important heroes, especially taking farm across the map. He's definitely been put beneath this Shadow Demon specifically.
Isn't that kind of the Dark W classic, though?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure he's used to this, where it's like, alright, I'm going to play a hero who's going to draw the lane, and I'm going to have impact in fights, and I'm not going to farm too much, and that's just the Hammingsy classic.
Yeah, someone he's really good at, but you're also Puck, you know, it's just a little bit sad to watch,
Well,
but
Invoker has been disrupting the Dire side junglers
Yeah.
now running towards his outpost, but Radiance... Never mind, I thought it'd be a fight.
yeah, they're very scared. The Aegis honestly doesn't change too much for etW. It just means that the Void Spirit, who wasn't really doing very much before, now can die twice. I think if they get to choose their other targets, they're still very vulnerable, especially on the Shadow Fiend. And with Ag's Coil up on the Puck, you can actually be held down there. So it's very scary and something that they have to consider. Invoker actually TP'd to the top lane and broke it immediately. So maybe a little bit of a misclick there, but with this T2 now gone, it does mean that etW get to take over the entire Dire jungle if they want to, and that's where Sasquatch can also start playing around with this relocate. Haven't seen them do a relocate play in quite a while here. I think etW definitely need to understand how strong they are and then go for a little bit more of a separated play. I definitely think they're being a little bit too close to each other when very simply Dark or Hemmingsley could set up in the side lane and get the relocate going, get a few more picks going their way.
Speaking of heroes, we are probably playing a bit too close together at times. It's Dire who are smoking behind Karan as if Radiant want to go on Karan. They have not gone on Karan in about 25 minutes. They're just kind of leaving to his own devices, and well, he's still being left to his own devices.
And Wind Waker on the Invoker. That's going to be interesting. It will mean that someone getting chained up by the Pango does have that get out of jail free card, but aside from that, your Invoker has stalled out any progress. He's even going back for the Boots of Travel, but that's where I wonder if we could be seeing the BKB, Aghanim Scepter, a Hex, something among those lines next for Rice Cooker. Can only imagine that's the direction he's going to go in, but they finally get a building on Antimeta. That's been quite a while since they've been able to get anything going objective-wise in that field.
It
but now,
has been.
Outpost, they get to flip the map here. They're actually playing a little bit of Dota, and this is a really good smoke. If they're able to get in behind their opponents, get that high ground advantage, then look at all of these heroes on the low ground. They got to make this move fast, though. They are being a little bit indecisive here, and they don't have glyphs, so it's a little bit scared.
Yeah, I mean, they 5-man smoke, but they're still an entire map away pretty much when they started the smoke, so they're still a half map away. But now they come on in to their own jungle, look to reclaim it perhaps, running at the entirety of Radiant. They see 6 Block, Karan steps in, Cool Sounds is there, they've they've missed out on the Sasquatch. Now she was purred by Mjon. Now Ember, balls in, Hamuzi, Ruby Sounds pops BKB, coils there onto Karan. Karan is in severe danger, but still has that Aegis. Aegis will now be popped. Now SF looks for Requiem, BKB, Blink, Requiem. It's there on 4. It's fantastic. Who can they kill? Sasquatch, solo, Titanic is there. Sasquatch, man fighting, trying. Hamuzi dead. Mjon dead. Sasquatch, full HP. EMP though on the ground. SF dead. Silencer dead. And it's so much damage to Karan. Well, Karan is dead. They go to Ember. It's all to go for Sasquatch. And they move to Invoker. He's banished. He's alone. He will eventually go down. He'll Wind Waker. That's the Wind Waker. It's enough. But no, over the cliff is Dark. Is there a Dust of Sentry there on the ground? They know Invoker's there, but he's just too fast. Overall, a 4+ Aegis for 2 engagements.
Yeah, there you go. That's your Aghanim Shard on 6 Dog, as well as the Paladin Sword. That turned the fight completely around. You save Sasquatch, and you give him another quad kill. I don't know. You gotta stop giving the Gyrocopter this much, but now, no glyph, no cooldowns. Sasquatch just has a free reign over this building. He just gets to do whatever he wants, no matter what damage. Typical TN actually needs to be very careful here. He could very easily get Yulesed up into the air and then cleaned up by his opponents, and that's where they don't want to use buybacks on the Shadow Fiend just yet, but the longer they wait, the more building damage is going to occur here. They don't want to give that win condition over to etW for free, but this definitely feels bad, especially if you save both your buybacks here to give up 2. Your lineup does not really play very nicely into Megas. Even though you do have that Battle Fury on Void Spirit, it's definitely an unfortunate circumstance for him.
It's a miserable catch-22, no matter what. They're going to have one condition, whether it's either the 2 racks or the buybacks. Both of them can lose you the game, but, well, I suppose they chose the 2 racks over the buybacks.
Yeah, it just means that they actually need to use their buybacks to get themselves in a position that they can now try and win this game. And I think that's where the next Roche will definitely be the next objective for both of these teams. Probably shouldn't be seeing any high ground push coming without it from etW, but they've surprised me before, so I can definitely see them going for something crazy. But I think also there, 6 Dog getting that. Again, it's just the Demonic Purge. The Demonic Purge's interaction versus the Requiem of Soul's Fear. You get Sasquatch, who should be a target after BKB's committed, just out of dodge. He just gets to do whatever he wants. I think they're really playing around the fact that this Gyrocopter is more or less untouchable. What is he getting, though? He's got Vit Booster in it. I have no clue.
It's an Aeon disc. Huh. Okay. Sure, why not? I think there are better items, but you know what? I suppose if you really just want to not get bursted down, Aeon is your ideal item.
The ironic thing, though, is if he really didn't want to get bursted down, the best item he could have bought is just a Daedalus, because you get the heal coming from your Satanic and your other lifesteal to that much more, and it's a nice attempt onto the SF in the top lane, but it's one of those things where being too defensive is definitely going to be a little bit risky for Sasquatch, because also the initiation that was catching him off guard was being dealt with by his supports. So It's definitely a interesting direction to go in, but one that is definitely wrong.
It feels like you need damage, you know? Like you have... It's 43 minutes and your damage items are Mjolnir and Scotty, which don't really give you much damage.
Yeah, if I were him, I would unironically sell my Mjolnir for a Daedalus at this point, and probably another item, because your 6-slotted Gyro
Bottom is Karan
really
is being
isn't
gone
feeling
on.
like
He's
one.
caught out. Silence
Yeah.
is there. He has defensive items. Karan goes down. It's too deep bottom lane.
That was really minimal. Look at him. He has both the Astral Steps and the Resonant Pulses. He died with really nothing coming from his opponents. Did he go AFK? I actually have no idea how he got picked off like that.
Yeah, I guess didn't see the beginning of this. I just thought he was fine.
I guess Hex on Dark. That was probably what started it off, but that's still really surprising for him. Oh, never mind. I figured it out. He doesn't have any way to purge silence. He got hexed by the Pango, rolled on top of, and then got Waning Rifted. What a disappointing way to die.
Yeah, I mean, luckily he does have buyback, but... I mean, they just let their 2 racks die to not use the buyback.
Yeah, and in addition to that, their position is not really getting any better. We've seen this same anti-meta as well, just stuck on their base. They can't really push out in any degree. They feel a little bit too scared to make any of those crucial plays, and that lack of decision-making is going to waltz etW into what is probably going to be a 20k gold lead, followed up by a next Aegis for free. All they need to do now is scout it out and force anti-meta to come for that fight. But that's where the Radiant advantage is definitely felt. You take the outpost away from the Dire side, and now the only way for anti-meta to get into that pit is if they go for that extremely long smoke, and it feels like once that happens, a lot of teams just crumble under that pressure.
We are beginning what could be the last high ground siege of the 2-game series. Radiant are setting up in the bottom lane. Gyrocopter is once again on the high ground. Dire have now 5 again, though, so they will temporarily back off a little bit. Sasquatch has a purge on him from his own ally, Shadow Demon, but they're actually not necessarily committing heavily. They don't want to overdo it. They're perhaps scared of that Blink Requiem. SF is set up. Now Hamuzi is rooting. Will Silence is there. Sasquatch will BKB. Remnant is there onto the puck. But the main objective is that tower, which is very, very injured. 1/10 HP at Radiant. Just leave, say, you know what, we got a lot of damage. Our BKB is on cooldown. Let's not throw this game.
Yeah, and more importantly, you got the glyph. I'm a little bit surprised that Sasquatch actually popped his BKB before his Aeon Disc procced, but again, you just wanted to do it, and I swear Valve does this on purpose. DD Rune right outside of Roche. Emjon's going to scout it, Sasquatch is going to walk over, and then once they check, they're going to realize that they've got quite the easy path into the pit, as well as the Refresher Shard being available, which is huge for every single member of their team. That could be your double Hex, your double Ags Coil. It feels like now this is the easiest objective for etW to take, and you're going to take it for free, more or less.
Yep, they're straight on into the Roshan pit, and I mean, right now they're busy dealing with 6 Dogs Illusions and the Siege units and some other groups. So, yeah, it's going to be the most free Roshan of the series, it appears. Sasquatch doing more than enough damage. It's the Aeon Disc in backpack, taking out the Aegis now, and well, Cheese goes to Emjon, Pressure Shard. Probably end up going to Hamuzi if I had to guess, but maybe Dark. Goes to Dark, okay.
It makes sense. It does allow them to actually chain disable one of the more elusive heroes on their side, as well as giving him 2 Rolling Thunders, which can definitely catch off your opponents. But here we go. Aegis on Sasquatch, no glyph. Yep. They got to make a choice quick.
It's go time. Meteors are on the ground, but the tower is already dead. Now they move to the buildings. Karan steps in, looks for something, steps away. Orb comes through, scouts the SF, big scout to get. He's now pushed away once again. Radiant return to the buildings. Half HP in the Rex. Dark rolls in. Global is there. Radiant look though for more. The Hex is there. Onto Karan while Sasquatch hits the buildings. Back to the fountain. Dark is making space. Karan goes down. Back to the Rex. They're already. It's megas for the Radiant. Back to the fountain. Coil was committed. Dire are in the fountain. They step on out. Requiem is there out of 3. Who can they kill? Hamuzi, Emjon, both dead. Kane Sasquatch. It's the Aegis. But they need to get him one more time. Dark still rolls. Sasquatch, BKBs, pops everything. Does the damage to the T, and he's now dead. He now goes into the fountain of all things. Sasquatch, what are you doing? Half HP. Aeon is popped. The Beast 2.0 comes in, pops BKB, hits. Disruptions though are down to Sasquatch. Sasquatch is low. He's taunted. He's actually goes down on the gyrocopter. Now Radiant, they're on the run. Dark is rolling up once again, trying to escape. While Six Dog TPs, Yules, they're canceling the TP of Six Dog. Both of them should eventually go down. Hex is there onto Void Spirit. Dark, though, goes down. Definitely Blast is there on Shadow Demon. He's being pushed literally outside of the map. And now, in this 4v1, he will go down. It is a full 5-man wipe. But for Dire, what will you accomplish? You must do something.
Yeah, it is do or die right now. They need to march across the enemy side of the map. They have to do something about these mega creeps. I could see some early item pickups right now. Maybe get a Maelstrom onto the Ember Spear. Just get something to deal with these creeps because you are so bad at dealing with it. And you already see Karan, he's forced to actually deal with one of the waves. And as soon as that bottom wave becomes an issue, what can you actually get out of your opponents here? The biggest problem right now is that unless they keep this creep alive, it's very simple for etW to just glyph. That's the most brutal thing when it comes to pushing versus megas. One glyph just kills your push. You have to wait another full minute for that creep wave to actually appear at the enemy side of the base. In addition to that, you don't really have the best tower push. So looking for these buildings, and actually Mjon.
I'm not sure what Mjon's up to, but he's now taunted. He may just go down
cheese.
Here. He pops the cheese.
To use it.
Relocate will end in 2 seconds. Requiem was pump faked, was cancelled, so Mjon, I guess, picking space. Loses cheese for that space, but did force a TP back from SF, I think. Seeing they're getting a little frisky in yellow chat again. They're saying owned.
I mean, Mjon did just go into the lion's den and came out with the golden fleece. That was kind of hilarious. I don't know. You stopped our unstoppable push. Very
did
true.
Use the cheese, though. That is some expenditure. But I guess cheese is a social construct. They don't need it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. I think it was definitely something that I think you could care about, but I don't know. It's definitely a little bit of a weird guy. I think now, don't wait for Aegis, though. They've already used so many buybacks. If you find the kill on the Void Spirit, then the game more or less will end. In addition to that.
He's being taunted back. He will immediately go down. Relocate is there, but the little signs actually cancel relocate. Perhaps they shouldn't have canceled the relocate, actually. Oh. Okay. Okay. So we have a pause. I'm not sure if either team needs the pause. It appears as though neither need the pause, but... Oh, yep, neither team need the pause.
Yeah. Purple doing transactions. I see. The thing is, they don't even know who they're talking about.
I mean, they just saved Silencer just saved Mjon's life for sure. I mean, I think there's zero doubt in my mind he just saved his life.
And now Mjon saying payment received. We'll have to see if some more questionable plays come out from him, but unfortunately, I don't know how much the game will actually change here. Now, Karan, no buyback, Divine Rapier. This is your Hail Mary. This is your swan song to try and save the game here, and we'll have to see if he's actually going to catch his opponents off guard here.
Sasquatch. Oh, no. Shadow Fiend may just be kited around and stunned around. He'll Yules himself, but what can he do? He BKBs. He runs. He's trying to escape, and he will escape for now. The Sasquatch,
no!
It's right on top of him now. He'll refresh. Fresh to BKB. Call down is there. Requiem brings 2 back. The Sasquatch is not brought back. He's hitting. He's focusing. Shadow Fiend has diebacked. And now Ember engages, looking for Mjon. Mjon will go down, but now Ember is very deep. Back to Sasquatch. He's fighting far deeper into the base. He's being saved by Mjon, though, keeping him alive now without relocate aggressively. And now Karan goes to Sasquatch. The taunt is there. Is there damage? Yes, there is! Down goes Sasquatch. And now Karan, he's low HP, needs to save the Rapier. Relocate brings Mjon back all the way, and Dire, they've done it. They've lost a lot to do it, though. Their T4s are dead. Their Throne's half HP, and now Ember is stunned. He's hexed. Karan steps in, kills Hammingsy. The Throne under siege. Siege units are there. Karan defends. Dark rolls. Actually, it's just Dark in there. He stuns up. Actually kills the Invoker, though. And now this Throne, it's just so naked. It's 1,000 HP, and Sasquatch, Mjon, they're both back. Karan desperately taunts Sasquatch. The Global is there. They need to kill him, but no, Sasquatch has Satanic. He's hitting. He has Flat Cannon. He goes in, looking for the Throne. He's hitting everything. Down goes Karan. Rapier on the floor, and now the Throne. It's even lower. 200 HP. Throne goes down.
Yeah. So easy for them. That was so clean at the end of the game there. They did nothing wrong. That was really well played.
Okay, that was Dota 2 for you. That was some real. I feel like both of these games probably went longer than they should have, but etW clearly proved they were the better Dota team in this fine evening. The 2-0 victory.
Yeah, of course, and you take a look at the win probability, there were definitely some dips there. Unfortunately, you start trying to win the game when you're 40 minutes in, and the game does get a little bit more difficult for you. I think Antimeta definitely were playing for fun a little bit here. And of course, the boys, they're a little bit too good for that. Definitely think the boys have some stuff to really go back to the drawing board with. I think really finding Hamming's place in this game was a little bit more of a struggle than it should have been, as well as even Sasquatch having some questionable item buildup. I definitely think he could have been a much more farm gyro, or at least a more impactful gyro when it came to some of his choices, where I think almost to a little bit of a degree with anti-meta, I think their opponents definitely gave them a little bit more space than they otherwise would have been able to work with. I think a more difficult team would have gave earning the wins definitely more run for their money. But at the same time, good draft, good hero picks. I think everything was to their expectation in this game.
Yeah, it was a it was a good series. It was certainly fun to watch. I believe one was 50 minutes, one was 52 minutes. So very exciting battle right there.
Yeah, I can only imagine what these teams are going to do looking forward. See if anti-meta gets even crazier when it comes to their draft ideas, or if maybe they tone it back a little bit. Because for a little bit there, I definitely thought that they were taking some convincing team fights. They had some good moves. It just feels like they were missing some of those situations where it's very obvious to us, but it's really up to them to identify where they need to push their advantages. It definitely felt like they were falling behind for reasons that were of their own device, but definitely a lot of improvement that both of these teams can work on.
Still, ET, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you coming on very short notice after a literal full workday of Beyond Summit action. Do you have any
No,
final words, call-outs, shouts to say to the people of League of Lads and twitch.tv/Badger Pablo?
No, just keep watching the games, keep keeping up with League of Lads, keep seeing what these guys are able to do. I mean, these games were bloodbaths from the beginning, so if not, just watch these guys slug each other every single night, every time you can. But it's always a lot of fun to watch, so keep on supporting it and keep on tuning into Badger. I'm sure he's going to be covering even more of this stuff as we get further into the tournament.
Especially when BTS Pro Series 8 ends, it'll be Lads casting every night. It's got to reclaim my throne. A lot of other casters have been casting a lot of games with my absence, but I'm back, bitches. I'll be casting again. But thank you for tuning in tonight for the 2-0 victory for earning the wins. etW versus Antimeta. My name is Badger. Come to cast your games, cast your tournaments. You can contact me over on the Discord. It's Badger number 5713, or on Twitter. It's twitter.com/Badger Dota2. And as always, have a great night.